Holly Farms 400 live today from North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, here on ESPN. 2 weeks ago, this event was postponed because of heavy rain in the Brushy Mountains. At that time, Earnhardt was points leader by 75 over Wallace, and Mark Martin was 255 behind. Then there was Charlotte last week. Only 13 laps into the All-Pro Auto Parts 500, Dale is out of the race. He would finish last and failed to complete a race for only the second time in the 1989 Winston Cup season.
Anybody can have trouble. We had it today, and you know, if he wins the championship, which I ain't giving up, then the racing ain't over. But, you know, he didn't beat us today. We beat ourselves.
It's not like I fell into something. You know, if everybody remembers, at the beginning of the year, I had 3 40-place finishes. I blew up, was the last guy out at Atlanta and in Martinsville, and then I blew up here at Charlotte. So I've got 3, like, dead last finishes, and Dale don't have that. I don't wish anybody any bad luck, but I think he was kind of due one. I just didn't know if he was due that severe a one.
Rusty needed Dale's bad luck because he, too, had problems at Charlotte. A loose lug nut caused severe vibration in the car. That caused further handling problems that had to be corrected during pit stops. Rusty did finish 8th, 10 positions more than required to take over the points lead. So as we get set for race number 26 at North Wilkesboro, Rusty Wallace is leading by 35. And Mark Martin, who was 3rd at Charlotte, is only 157 behind. It's a beautiful day today in North Wilkesboro, certainly a lot different than 2 weeks ago. We have bright sunshine today and no chance of rain. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins, and welcome to North Wilkesboro and the Holly Farms 400. We're closing out the 1989 season now. Just 3 more races to go after today, and the points battle is a tremendous one. Rusty Wallace now has the lead. He'll start 2nd in today's race. Remember, they'll start according to points before Charlotte. Last week at Charlotte, both Wallace and Earnhardt had their problems, but they were problems of a different kind. And for more on that, let's go to our pit reporters. First, Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, thank you very much, Bob Jenkins. You know, late in the year, you worry about possible breakdowns from mental fatigue. Well, last week it wasn't mental fatigue for Dale Earnhardt. In fact, it was metal fatigue. Take a look at this camshaft. This is what broke on the Dale Earnhardt car on lap 13 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Just inside the back gearing at the first lobe, this shaft broke. Now, car owner Richard Childers said, these babies breaking is about as rare as lips on a woodpecker. It just doesn't happen. The first time he's broken one in 6 years. But this $450 camshaft may have cost Dale Earnhardt a chance at winning $1 million in the Winston Cup Championship. Now, my colleague, the editor of Stock Car Racing Magazine, Dick Bergen, standing by the fellow who now leads the Winston Cup points, but he didn't get away completely unscathed last week either, did he, Dick?
No, he didn't, Jerry, and the pressure is on. The human pressure, and every one of these team members running for the championship feels it. Nobody wants to be the guy to leave a loose lug nut behind. That pressure has also led to an intense examination of the cars. Just 2 hours ago, crew member Barry Dodson discovered a leaking master cylinder in this automobile. Had he not made that discovery, Rusty Wallace's chances for the championship would have been much diminished. Everybody feels the heat. The guns are drawn. Bob Jenkins, this is a war.
And the war is just about to begin here at North Wilkesboro. The cars are on pit road. The drivers are in them. Let's go now to the Holly Farms Senior Vice President, Frank Rhodes, for the command.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you the Senior Vice President for Holly Farms, Mr. Frank Rhodes. Frank, everybody on your feet! On behalf of Holly Farms and 45,000 employees, welcome race band to Holly Farms 400. Gentlemen, start your engine!
"32 cars roar to life. It's a sold-out house here at North Wilkesboro as we get set for race number 26 in the Winston Cup season. Let's go now to 2 former Winston Cup champions who will be with me in the booth today, Benny Parsons and Ned Jarrett.
Well, Bob, Rusty Wallace is in control with that 35-point lead, and really all he has to do is duplicate his feat of a year ago when he won 3 of the last 4 races and finished 5th in the other one. Or if he averages second place in every race from here on out, he can clinch the championship. On the other hand, Dale Earnhardt has to gain 2 positions per race on Rusty Wallace if he's going to come back and win his 4th title. But Benny Parsons, That's not going to be easy for either one of them, and there's another guy that's in the thick of this battle now.
Charlotte let Mark Martin get back in the race. As Bob Jenkins said, Mark Martin is only 157 points behind those two, and he's right behind them. On his first lap, folks, it's going to be a classic first lap. Earnhardt and Wallace trying desperately to lead that first lap and get 5 bonus points for leading. Mark Martin sitting back there behind those two. They may get too greedy and let Mark Martin catch up even further. It's going to be awfully interesting. Bob Jenkins, what about the rest of the field?
All right, Benny. Well, we have, as I said, 32 cars and drivers that are set to go here for 400 laps at North Wilkesboro, and here is the starting lineup. On the pole from Kannapolis, North Carolina, in the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet, car number 3 is Dale Earnhardt. Alongside Rusty Wallace from St. Louis, Missouri, he drives the number 27 Kodiak Pontiac. Starting third inside of row number 2, it's Mark Martin from Batesville, Arkansas, the Stroh Light Ford, car number 6. And outside of row number 2 from Franklin, Tennessee, driving the number 17 Tide Chevrolet, is Darrell Waltrip. Starting in row number 3, Ricky Rudd, the Quaker State Buick number 26, and Bill Elliott in the Coors Ford, car number 9. In row number 4, it's the number 25 car driven by Ken Schrader and Davey Allison in number 28. The 5th row, Terry Labonte in number 11 and Harry Gant in 33. The 6th row, Jeff Bodine in number 5 and Sterling Marlin in 44. And as we look at the rest of the starting lineup, the cars move down the front stretch and will be getting the green flag in one more lap, and this first lap ought to be a dandy, guys.
It certainly should be, Bob, and they're using radial tires here today. This is the 3rd time this year that they've used radial tires.
I tell you what, I can't wait. This first lap, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to watch, because who is going to lead the first lap and get those 5 bonus points? I can't stress how important it is.
Dale Earnhardt. There is the bumper cam on Harry Gant's car. As we look back on Sterling Marlin, we also have that side cam on Michael Waltrip's car, the one that gave us such tremendous shots at Martinsville a few weeks ago. And we're also inside Ricky Rudd's car, the Quaker State Buick. Here comes the field, and the green flag is out. Rusty Wallace did not have a particularly good start. He laid back at the beginning. I don't know whether that was planned or whether it just happened that way, but in any case, Dale Earnhardt is the leader of this race. Mark Martin is running second. Ricky Rudd is third. Back in 4th position, battling to stay in 4th position, is Rusty Wallace along with Darrell Waltrip. They're second and third, Martin and Rudd.
What happened? Dale Earnhardt having the pole position. He is the fellow that starts the race. He laid back behind Rusty Wallace and got a great start. And Rusty Wallace just caught him unprepared because he was behind in front of Earnhardt and not able to tell when he was going to get on the front.
Earnhardt was going to be sure that he got those 5 bonus points for leading that race. Right now, he's only 30 points behind.
Exactly.
And he has pulled out to a rather comfortable lead over Mark Martin and Ricky Rudd. And there is Rusty Wallace, who has fallen back to 5th position. Let's go down to pit road for a report on the Rusty Wallace car.
Just spoke with Barry Dotson, the crew chief, a minute ago. He said Rusty just couldn't get the car in line. He was on the outside, hung out to dry, and you got to be very careful early on with these radial tires. It's awfully slippery out there until the tires get heated up a little bit. Rusty had to take his time and wait to get a spot to move in behind Darrell Waltrip, and it cost him 4 spots. He currently is in 5th spot.
But we've got a long way to go, 400 laps on this 0.625-mile racetrack. Now we see action behind Rusty Wallace. That's Ken Schrader in 25, Bill Elliott in number 9, and Jeff Bodine in the yellow and white 5.
Bill Elliott almost got by Ken Schrader on the outside, and Ned, early in the race, that would have been impressive had he been able to make that move.
Yes, it would, because they really are going to tiptoe for a while on the radial tires. Once they get heated up and they get a little rubber in the racetrack, of course, they practiced for 3 hours here yesterday afternoon, but still the track is not the way it'll be a little later on, and then they'll get a little more confidence in those tires.
And there were no serious problems during that 3-hour practice period yesterday. Phil Parsons did spin and bump the wall, but no major damage to that race car. Now, we might point out that there is no Unocal money available today because qualifying was washed out and the lineup is according to points before Charlotte. No Unocal money. It'll be worth $190,000 when you join us in Rockingham a week from today.
And Bob, if it gets through Rockingham and Phoenix, the people in Atlanta has said if the Unocal Challenge gets to Atlanta, it'd be worth $205,000. They're going to match it. Would make the pole winner eligible to win.
Dale Jarrett spins off of corner number 4 here on the main straightaway, keeps it going, however, and will not see a yellow flag. Dale Jarrett off of corner number 4 doing a complete spin around, but keeps going.
There was some pretty serious damage to Dale's left rear quarter. It looks like someone got into him. I don't know exactly who it would be, but as the car was spinning around, ooh, almost spun again.
Yeah, he was in a pretty tight battle back there with Derek Cope, Dave Marcus, Jimmy Spencer. A lot of them were running close together back there, jockeying for position.
So all is well with Dale Jarrett. He continues in the race. Meanwhile, we pick up on this battle for position. Schrader, Elliott, Jeff Bodine, and now the number 11 car, Terry Labonte, joins in. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who can has more. We have a spin over in turn number 3 as Rick Wilson loses control and slides into the infield grass. Just entering turn number 3. And no yellow flag is out yet. Harold Kinder and the NASCAR officials are watching the situation very closely, and now we will have a yellow. Rick Wilson from Bartow, Florida, spins over in turn number 3 on lap number 14, bringing out our first caution of the day, and Rick started this race in 14th position.
And that'll be a break for Dale Jarrett because Dale Earnhardt was just about to put him a lap down.
There is the leader of the race, Dale Earnhardt, under caution for the first time this afternoon in North Wilkesboro. We're glad you could join us on this Sunday afternoon for Winston Cup Racing, and we'll be back with more of our live coverage after this. Just 16 laps completed here at North Wilkesboro in our first caution period of the afternoon because of a spin over in turn number 3 involving Rick Wilson. We're live at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina Speedway for the Holly Farms 400, and our coverage being brought to you by your Buick dealer. The Great American Road belongs to Buick. By Quaker State Motor Oil, the big Q stands for quality, always has, always will. And by the Die-Hard battery, now with more power when you need it most. Still under caution. And Harry Gant is headed toward pit road, and Kyle Petty is already in. His wheel came off.
Yeah, he started to leave the pits. They changed the right side tires on the peak antifreeze Pontiac, and I guess they had loosened the left side tires, and it came loose, so Kyle has gone a lap down in the pits.
We have several cars that are on pit road. We are cautioned because of this. Rick Wilson over in turn number 3.
We don't know what caused the spin to start with. Evidently, he made some contact with Harry Gant because Harry's in the pits. He's got some serious damage to the left front fender. How bad is it, Dick Bergman?
Well, Benny, I think they can pound it out. The left front fender was in the tire, and as he takes off out of pit road right now, it looks pretty good, but that was the cause of a lot of smoke that we saw down here. Gant in for 4. Most everybody else stayed on the racetrack. He sure had to change that left front.
So Gant joining the field once again, as Rick Wilson is also back out onto the racetrack after that spin. Phil Parsons is back out there. We're going to take another break before we go green once again in the Holly Farms 400 here at North Wilkesboro. The green is back out at North Wilkesboro, and the race continues. There are your top 4. Dale Earnhardt in number 3, Mark Martin in number 6, Ricky Rudd in number 26, and Darrell Waltrip in 17 as 22 laps have been completed. Just behind the 17 car is Rusty Wallace, who is in 5th at the moment. We've just gone green from our first caution of the afternoon because because of a spin over in turn number 3 involving Rick Wilson. On the restart, Jimmy Spencer jumped it, and he was black flag, came in for a stop-and-go penalty. And here is Derry Cope, who gets way out of shape, high on the racetrack in turn number 4, maintains control, but loses several positions. Derry Cope, car number 10.
He and Dale Jarrett got together a little bit going into turn 3. Let's watch it again. Jarrett into the Hardee's Pontiac down on the inside, and it looks like he just touches Cope's car enough to get it out of control, and he slides high on the racetrack, but he does maintain control.
Back to the leader, it's Dale Earnhardt, who now is in second in the Winston Cup points, leading the race. He has led since the drop of the green flag, getting a good jump on Rusty Wallace and the others.
But Rusty Wallace, folks, he is not running the way that Rusty Wallace normally runs. He's a half straight away behind Earnhardt. My question is he taking it easy, or does he have a problem? I really don't know the answer to those questions, because look, Mark Martin pushing Earnhardt down the front straightaway.
Mark Martin said all weekend that he really didn't feel comfortable in the car, that the radial tires just weren't to his liking yet, but he's showing no evidence of that right now, as he is right on the back bumper of Dale Earnhardt in a close battle with him, and would like very much to get into the lead. Mark Martin, we had not mentioned very much 4 or 5 races ago as being a contender for the Winston Cup, but indeed he is very much in the thick of things. Trying to make a move on Dale Earnhardt to the outside, cannot make the move, and continues to run in second position, but he is running well.
Earnhardt's car starting to slip a little bit off the go. Mark Martin tries on the inside.
As they go into turn number 1, Martin tries to get the inside position, can't pull alongside of Dale Earnhardt, however, and they continue to run in that order of Earnhardt and Martin.
Well, Earnhardt would certainly like to stay out there and lead more laps than anyone else today, because that's another 5-point bonus, but there's a lot of laps left in this race.
Mark Martin
leads early here, the better he'll be.
Once again, he's got position on Earnhardt. Maybe he just can't get back on the gas like he needs to in the middle of 1 and 2.
Coming off the corner, going inside. He set Earnhardt up for the pass, and let's see if he can complete it going into turn number 1. Side by side, they run through there. Earnhardt to the high side of the track. Mark Martin to the inside line, and Mark goes into the lead. He'll have to cross the line, however, and be scored as the leader before he officially picks up the 5 bonus points. And now a battle for third position going on, as Mark Martin will lead the lap. So Darrell Waltrip now is third, Ricky Rudd's fourth, and back in fifth, there is Rusty Wallace. Let's go down to Jerry Punch, and he can perhaps answer the question that Benny asked. Is he just laying back, or is there something wrong, Jerry?
Well, Benny, that you asked that question. Why don't we ask Barry Dotson, the crew chief? And Barry, he's trying to give Rusty the time to come by. The question is Rusty laying back or taking it easy, or does he have a problem?
Well, we're trying to take it easy. The car's a little bit too tight. That won't last very long at Wilkesboro. Right now, we're in pretty good shape. We got a good seat, just watching the leader.
They have the car bolted to the racetrack very tight early on, but it gets awfully slippery here, and you compound that with the radial tires. The rustiness biding his time, gentlemen.
Now, we've explained it before on short tracks, but why will the car improve if it is tight as we go along?
One reason, the track gets slicker, and as the tires heat up, the back end will get a little bit looser going into the turns and coming off of the turns. So getting a good bite, good traction coming off of the turns is so important on the short track, because you run a very low gear, put a lot of power to the tires, and that's where you can make up a lot of time. And having a good tight race car allows you to do that.
Wallace continues to run in fifth position, as now Darrell Waltrip in car number 17 begins to battle Dale Earnhardt for the second position.
Darrell Waltrip was very strong in practice here yesterday afternoon in the 3-hour practice session. His car was working well. He likes to run on the low side of a racetrack, and here he is on the low side trying to take away that second position right now.
Mark Martin moved inside off corner number 4 a few laps ago to pass Dale Earnhardt, and now Darrell Waltrip is trying to do the same thing. Earnhardt races him through the first and second turns, but as they go down the backstretch, Waltrip moves ahead by just about a half a car length, but Dale Earnhardt is not willing to relinquish that second position.
what, that's pretty impressive, Ned. Earnhardt on the outside is able to stay on beside the 17 car, so maybe Dale Earnhardt has found something out there on the outside of this racetrack.
Well, if he can run out there now while they're racing for position, when they get into traffic, that could work to his advantage.
That time, Darrell Waltrip went in the corner a little bit stronger than normal, carried Earnhardt up the hill a little bit and took the spot away.
A few laps ago, this little incident between Jeff Bodine and the yellow and white number 5 on the outside of the 94 blue car of Sterling Marlin.
Well, it looks like they touched just a little bit as they started off of turn 4. Bodine goes very high, as we saw Derek Cope a little bit earlier. Marlin stays in the groove, takes the position. In fact, Bodine lost about 3 positions.
So there is Jeff Bodine as he is behind Davey Allison at number 28 and just ahead of the couple of drivers who are battling for the Rookie of the Year honors, Larry Pearson and Dick Trickle. This is back for 12th position. Larry Pearson looking inside of Bodine going into turn number 1.
Yeah, he's another driver that ran good yesterday, but that little bit of a tap almost caused him to go around, but he did a good job of bringing that car back, because most of the time they say when you get a car sideways on those radials, it's gone, but Larry Pearson proved that you could bring it back. We
have dispelled that theory already, because Larry Pearson with a nice job of saving it completely sideways in turn number 1. Rick Wilson is there at number 4. The number 2 car is Ernie Irvan. Here's a replay.
Pearson trying to get down on the inside of Jeff Bodine and touches the left rear quarter panel of Bodine, gets Bodine a little bit loose, but really gets Larry Pearson loose. He turns sideways and gets it straightened out again.
It is still Mark Martin who is leading the Holly Farms 400. He took over the lead from Dale Earnhardt a few laps ago and has stretched out the advantage now by about a half a straightaway on Darrell Waltrip, who is running in 2nd position. Earnhardt is 3rd. 4th is Ricky Rudd, and then 5th, about almost a full straightaway behind. In 5th position is Rusty Wallace. Then comes Ken Schrader, Bill Elliott, Terry Labonte, Morgan Shepherd, Alan Kowicki, Tommy Ellis substituting for Neil Bonnet, and Sterling Marlin.
And what all the fellows was telling me about the radials, guys, was that if they slide one time, like we saw Derek Cope and Jeff Bodine slide, boy, they are really a handful then. The radials you have to drive a race car a lot differently on a radial than you do on a bias ply tire.
Mark Martin laps the 27th place car of Derek Cope, number 10, so 26 cars are on the lead lap now. Guess they're going to run the radials at Rockingham next weekend.
They sure are. I was down this week, Thursday and Friday, watching some of the guys test tires and practice, and sure enough, the radials, they were talking about using them in Atlanta, the last race of the year. But they went down last week. Harry Gant tested them, also Ken Schrader, and both those guys spun out on the radials. Harry Gant actually hit the wall and damaged his car fairly severely, so they decided to pull the radials the last race in Atlanta.
There's Dale Earnhardt, 3rd position at the moment, and he has 3 career wins here at North Wilkesboro. The 87, 86, and 89. First Union 400s. He has never won this particular race. All of his wins here at North Wilkesboro have come in the spring event. Let's go down to Jerry Punch, who has a comment.
Well, a minute ago, you heard Barry Dotson tell us that Rusty Wallace had a car that was very, very tight, and therefore they knew the track would come to him, and they would get a little bit looser. We just talked to Richard Childress here in the Dale Earnhardt pit, and he tell us their problem was just the opposite. They are extremely loose coming off the corner. Said everybody's been able to see Earnhardt's car spinning the tires coming off the corner, and everyone's taking advantage. Everyone, to me, Mark Martin and Darrell Waltrip both going by Earnhardt, and now sits back in 3rd spot.
So it would appear here in the first 45 laps of this race that the 2 cars that are set up best are Mark Martin and Darrell Waltrip, who is in 2nd position, as both Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace have experienced a little bit of handling problems in the early going. 4th position belongs to Ricky Rudd. As there is Mark Martin, the leader of the race, lapping Richard Petty in car number 43. He runs 25th at the moment, so 24 on the lead lap. Let's go to Dick Berggren, who has a comment on Mark Martin.
Well, Bob Jenkins, when you talk about setting up with radials, nobody has more practice at it than the leader, Mark Martin's team. They have tested radials at Dover, here, Daytona, Charlotte, and tomorrow they'll be back at Daytona for 3 more days of radial testing. This business of running on radials is a matter of a learning curve. And the team with the most practice, the most experience, is showing it. They're right out front right now.
Mark Martin in the lead. Darrell Waltrip is second, but here is third, fourth, and fifth, and you can see that Rusty Wallace is now beginning to move in on the fourth place car, Ricky Rudd. So that's how they run as we have completed 52 laps out of 400 in the Winston Cup race at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Back with more of our live coverage after this. In the beautiful brushy mountains, North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, the Holly Farms 400 NASCAR Winston Cup race. Our leader is Mark Martin in car number 6, but the battle on the track is a few car lengths behind him. That's Ricky Rudd in number 26, battling with Dale Earnhardt at number 3, and watching all of this from 5th position is Rusty Wallace in car number 27.
Looks like that Rusty's chassis is getting a little bit better, like Barry Dodson said it would. He's pulled up on the back bumper of Earnhardt.
Yeah, I think a tight chassis now. We've run about 55 laps, and that's when it should start working. And Rusty Wallace gaining on him, and the car looks very smooth for him.
Here is Ricky Rudd right alongside Dale Earnhardt as we have now the view of Ricky Rudd in the Quaker State Buick, trying to take over third position. Darrell Waltrip is in second. And now something happened to Rudd's car just all of a sudden. He slows dramatically here coming off 4.
I wonder if he might got a bump from Rusty Wallace behind him, because he was trying to get by Earnhardt and Rusty was behind him. I didn't see it. I was watching the in-car camera on the monitor, but...
Well, let's replay it and see if we can determine what happened as Rusty does battle now with Earnhardt. Here it is.
No, he just got it loose.
Just got loose. Nobody touched him. Yep.
So just a slight bobble on the part of Ricky Rudd. He didn't lose any positions, however, has fallen back quite a bit on the racetrack. Now we watch Rusty Wallace and Dale Earnhardt, who are battling for the Winston Cup, battle for third position. Wallace working to the inside of Dale down the front stretch. Earnhardt already has 5 bonus points for leading the race. Wallace would have to get those also if he's going to win the Winston Cup in 1989.
Great shot from Ricky Rudd's car, watching these two guys, and they can't really go after it the way that they want to now because they might crash. Got to be careful, guys.
Didn't take Rudd long to catch back up with them running side by side.
And they are running side by side and wheel to wheel. Earnhardt doing a fine job of holding off Rusty for third, and Ricky a little bit loose again there in corner number 4.
There are just 18 cars on the lead lap. While this tremendous battle goes on for third, Mark Martin is just fighting his way through traffic. There he is, passing Davey Allison, putting him a lap down. Now there will only be 17 cars, so 16 cars on the lead lap.
But this is certainly the best battle on the racetrack. Again, we tell you that Darrell Waltrip is second, running by himself. This is third, fourth, and fifth right here. Wallace, Earnhardt, and Ricky Rudd. Wallace again alongside of Earnhardt as they go down the backstretch.
And Ricky Rudd just simply don't know which car to follow. He said, hey, guys, somebody pass somebody.
Well, maybe he's going to try to pass both. No, that's not the thing.
Here's Dave Marcus at number 71. He's a lap car running 28th at the moment.
Well, now Ricky Rudd has decided to follow Earnhardt because Earnhardt has taken the advantage, and Rudd might get around Rusty Wallace.
So now the battle is for fourth position as Marcus is staying right in there with those on the lead lap. And here comes Terry Labonte at number 11, not too far behind. And he is on the lead lap in 6th.
Oh, Rusty, when it rains, it pours. One guy got by him, and now he's really, Marcus, if he gets by, Labonte were to get by, he'd drop back instead of going forward.
And Jeff Bodine is about to go down a lap in 16th position. There is Mark Martin, the leader of the race, going to the inside and passing Jeff going into turn number 5. So Mark Martin is setting a terrific pace. Now only 15 on the lead lap.
It's unbelievable Mark Martin would be running this well, because in practice here 2 weeks ago, he spun out 3 times just simply trying to practice. And yet today in the race, he's going on like he's got the greatest car on the face of the earth.
You know, Benny, one thing that impressed me yesterday, I watched almost the entire 3-hour practice period, and Mark Martin got out there and he got the car set up pretty good as we watched Ricky Rudd try to get by Dale Earnhardt, but he would run 25, 30, 35 lap runs. Most of them would come out and run 6, 8, 10 laps like they normally do. He ran long stretches of laps out there, and I think that worked to his advantage.
Well, we have a crash up in turn number 3 between 3 and 4 as Larry Pearson, Michael Waltrip, and Sterling Marlin are against the wall in turn number 3. Now Larry Pearson pulls away. There's the shot from the side cam on Michael Waltrip's car as he too pulls away. Gets the car going again. Sterling Marlin is also leaving the scene of the incident. And on lap number 69, it's our second caution period of the day.
Tell you what, our camera's still working because Michael Waltrip's car right under the camera that you're looking from is caved in with some serious damage with someone, but luckily our camera's still working.
And this caution period is going to bring everybody in for a pit stop. Let's go to Dick Berggren, who's in Mark Martin's pit.
Well, most everybody is going to take 4 tires. By the way, this will be a near $20,000 tire change. That's what it costs for a field of 30 cars to change 4 tires. The key here for Mark, get out first. So he's got nobody he's going to have to pass. He's in great shape. The left tires are, right side tires are on already. Rustin Wallace is just in now. Jerry Punch is down with Darrell Waltrip.
Eddie Dickerson, Jeff Hammond, Sandy Jones, and the crew have completed the right side. They will scamper around to the left side as Jack beneath the side Chevrolet. Left front and left rear tire going on. Air Rich is putting those lug nuts back on. Seating the front grill. Waltrip's car down and away. Dale Earnhardt now getting left side tire. Down off the jacks. He will follow. Gary Gant down pit road. Here's Ricky Rudd. Dale Jarrett. Rusty Wallace. All the cars coming back to turn 1, having changed 4 tires.
And there's a hat on the track.
And that didn't come off of one of the drivers.
I could use that for my hat of the week.
That's right. That's entering turn number 3. So everybody has moved out of pit road and onto the racetrack once again as our second caution period of the day flies over North Wilkesboro, North Carolina Speedway. We'll be right back. 71 of 400 laps completed in the Holly Farms 400, and Mark Martin is the leader. Darrell Waltrip running second. Third is Dale Earnhardt, and here is Michael Waltrip, who was just involved in a crash, and here it is from the side cam.
He's on the inside of Sterling Marlin going in the corner. Ooh, and he gets tagged, I guess, or maybe he just lost the car. I don't know what happened.
But he gets sideways, that's for sure.
Wow. There's the other car coming in. Why did Sterling Marlin spin? I didn't see any.
It appeared as if Marlin was well ahead of Michael, who was spinning. Maybe there was something on the track that caused everybody to spin.
Yeah. Exactly. There must have been something on the racetrack because Sterling Marlin was indeed a few feet in front of Michael Waltrip. I could see no contact at all.
Well, anyway, Michael Waltrip was into the pits several laps, and now, or several times rather, and now Lake Speed remains in the pits. Michael Waltrip did lose a lap on that pit stop, as did Larry Pearson and Sterling Marlin. All 3 of those guys who were involved in the crash up there did lose a lap, and Lake Speed is losing several laps as his car remains on pit road.
And there are only 12 cars now on the lead lap with Mark Martin in the lead.
We're about to go green once again as the lead is held by Mark Martin. Darrell Waltrip second. Third is Dale Earnhardt. Fourth, Ricky Rudd. And fifth is Rusty Wallace. Sixth, Terry Labonte. Seventh, Bill Elliott. Eighth, Alan Kulwicki. Ninth position is Tommy Ellis. And 10th is Ken Schrader as the green flies on lap 76. Here comes Earnhardt on the outside. Riding with Ricky Rudd in the Quaker State Buick. Jeff Bodine just ahead, but look at the battle up front. Some contact between Waltrip in 17 and Mark Martin in number 6. Martin's on the outside of the track and losing spots.
Well, his car is not working like it was earlier.
Where did Earnhardt come from? He just blew by those guys on the outside. Jeff Bodine trying to get by Darrell Waltrip. He's a lap down. If he can get by Waltrip and then Earnhardt, caution flag comes out, he gets his lap back.
Here's a replay. Look at these three guys go in side by side into turn 1, and there's a contact between Waltrip and Martin.
Wow, that was very close. And Earnhardt, he took a chance going on the outside of those two cars and made it 3 abreast.
But now he pulls away.
Earnhardt is back in the lead of the Holly Farms 400 after Mark Martin was in the lead for a while. Let's get on to Jerry with a comment on Mark.
Actually, we're going to talk about Dale Earnhardt, Bob. You know, we mentioned the fact that Earnhardt was so loose before that caution flag and dropping back. He came in, the crew asked him, Kurt Shelmerdine said, hey, what do you want us to do? Earnhardt said, tighten it up. Shelmerdine said, how much? He said, put a ton of bite in it. And we did, he said, and we're going to really tighten it down. And they did, and look where he went, right to the front.
Boy, they did something that made that car completely different.
But when the race started earlier, remember, that's what Earnhardt did. He pulled away a few car lengths, and then in about 20 or 25 laps, started coming back to the field, and that may happen again.
Be interesting to see. But certainly with that bike, as they say, in it, that'll help him some.
Rusty Wallace in number 27 is back to 5th position. And there is Brett Bodine in car number 15 and Bill Elliott in number 9. Elliott is on the lead lap, but the number 15 car of Bodine is not. Kulwicki in number 7 is also on the lead lap.
The cars that are on the lead lap are Dale Earnhardt, Darrell Waltrip, Ricky Rudd, Mark Martin, Terry Labonte, Rusty Wallace, Bill Elliott, Alan Kulwicki, Morgan Shepherd, Ken Schrader, Ernie Irvin, and Tommy Ellis.
Alan Kulwicki finds himself in 8th position at the moment. Kulwicki began this race from 17th position. That's where he is in Winston Cup points, or was before Charlotte. He moved to 13th at the end of 20 laps, was 10th at the end of 40, and now finds himself in 8th. And that's Morgan Shepherd running there with him in car number 75. And here comes Harry Gant in number 33 with some damage on that car after an early race incident.
Now he's a lap down as a result of making a pit stop on the very first caution flag, and then he just simply couldn't get up through the field.
And we're riding with Harry now.
You can see, well, there's Mark Martin trying to get by Ricky Rudd and get back up in.
Here's trouble on the front straightaway.
Oh, Richard Petty, Kyle Petty, Hut Strickland involved. Larry Pearson also becomes involved. Here comes Jeff Bodine getting his lap back.
Yes, he did. Some very heads-up driving by Jeff Bodine.
But there
saw an opening and went through it.
There are 2 cars here on the main straightaway stopped. Hut Strickland at number 57 and Larry Pearson in 16.
And there's some pretty serious damage to the front of Hut Strickland's car. We're not seeing it on camera, but I'm right above the car looking down.
Now, as I looked down on the straightaway when this was going on, I saw Richard Petty up on 2 wheels. The car came down on all 4, but it was a close moment for Richard Petty. There is Strickland's car, and there is Larry Pearson. He's sitting in his number 16 Chattanooga Chew car. Obviously okay. He's moving around inside.
The 2 drivers who are 2nd and 3rd in the Champion Spark Plug Sears Rookie of the Year standings. Hut Strickland in 2nd place, Larry Pearson in 3rd place behind Nick Trickle in the rookie standings.
So our 3rd caution period of the day. As Hut Strickland gets out of his car, he's okay, surveying the damage, and there is a lot of it on the front end. We're 88 laps into the Holly Farms 400, and we'll be back right after this. The 1988 Holly Farms 400, Bill Elliott has won his third pole in the last 4 races here at North Wilkes. In the middle stages, Ricky Rudd and Jeff Bodine were battling for the lead. Rudd would pick up the 5 bonus Winston Cup points for leading the most laps. Dale Earnhardt moved up to challenge as we began to see early signs of driving tactics that would later force NASCAR to take action. Rusty Wallace was in the midst of a late season tear. He had just won Charlotte the week before and was trying desperately to catch Bill Elliott in the Winston Cup point chase. Rudd and Earnhardt are back together, and a bump in turn number 3 by Ricky will not soon be forgotten by Dale. In turn number 1, Rudd gets hit hard enough to spin, and both are sent to the back of the pack for rough driving. It's the last lap. Rusty has the lead. Jeff reminds him that he's right there. They race down the backstretch and into turn number 3, where Bodine is sent sideways by Wallace. Jeff tries to save it. Rusty comes off the corner and wins the race as Phil Parsons edges Bodine for second. Without question, one of the most exciting races in all of 1988. Here's the top 15 in 1989. It's Earnhardt leading, Waltrip is second, Mark Martin third, Ricky Rudd fourth, and Terry Labonte fifth. 6 through 10, Rusty Wallace, Bill Elliott, Alan Kowicki, Morgan Shepherd, and Ken Schrader. And 11 through 15, it's Ernie Irvan, Tommy Ellis, Jeff Bodine, Brett Bodine, and Harry Gant. 92 laps are completed. We're under caution because of a crash coming off of corner number 4. And the cars landed here on the main straightaway, and here's how it looked from our speed shot. See a car sideways on the inside, yeah.
Kyle Petty down on the inside in the peak Pontiac.
And there Larry Pearson gets tagged from behind. Richard Petty
ran over somebody. Pearson stays up against the wall, and then Hut Strickland comes in behind him in car number 57. And with Hut Strickland is Dr. Dick Bergman.
We had quite a view of that whole thing. What did it look like to you?
Well, I couldn't really tell too much there, Dick. You know, a bunch of cars was spinning there, and you know, I seen Kyle up there spinning, and the cars in front of me was Larry Pearson, so that kind of had my view blocked. But you know, I got into the wall and got to Larry and tried to miss the whole deal and got right in the middle of it. You know, just no place to go.
Your crew has been running up and down in front of us here, bringing tools to the garage area. Can you get this wreck fixed?
Well, we're certainly going to try to. You know, we're in a race right now. We want to try to do as well as we can in these Winston Cup points, and you know, we're trying to sell that Heinz ketchup and get all our product out there, and that's just, you know, try to get as many laps as we can.
Points are it. They sure are. He's going to go back to the garage area and help those guys, I'm sure.
And Hut Strickland also wants to continue his streak. Only 2 drivers have been running at the finish of the previous 8 races, Rusty and Hut. But there is Hut's car that doesn't look too healthy at the moment. So the cars are being dragged off the racetrack, and we'll be back to green before too long here at North Wilkesboro. Here at the Holly Farms 400, it's Dale Earnhardt leading with Darrell Waltrip second, followed by Mark Martin, Ricky Rudd, and Terry Labonte. We've got lots of auto racing coming up here this afternoon on ESPN. IndyCar racing after our Winston Cup race. And let's go now to Monterey, California, Laguna Seca Raceway, and Paul Page.
Well, thanks, Bob. Now, when the Winston Cup cars are done at North Wilkesboro, we'll come out to the West Coast, here to Laguna Seca Raceway, just off of the Monterey Peninsula of California. 2 great races lined up. First, we'll show you the Marlboro Challenge, that very special race for the top 10 drivers in the Indy cars. And then, live, it's coverage of the Champion Spark Plug 300, the 15th and final race of the 1989 IndyCar season. Some great excitement for the Indy cars coming up here on ESPN. Now back to you.
Thank you very much, Paul. Of course, Emerson Fittipaldi has wrapped up the championship, but there's a lot at stake in that final IndyCar race of the year. And there are our top 5 here at North Wilkesboro as we get set for racing in a half lap. We are cautioned because of a 3-car crash here on the main straightaway that has been cleared off, and now almost 1/4 of the race has been completed. Dale Earnhardt is at the front of the field with Darrell Waltrip and Mark Martin right there also. There's the tremendous crowd that has turned out for this Winston Cup race number 26 of the 89 season, and the green flies once again. Darrell Waltrip in number 17 gets high coming off of corner number 4. The car slipped on him just a little bit. He saved it. Didn't lose any positions as Mark Martin was unable to pass him, so Darrell holds on to second place, but that was a close moment for Darrell.
Yes, it was. It looked like the front end broke loose on the car as he went into turn 3 and started off at turn 4. It just wouldn't cut all of a sudden.
And now the car seems to be running okay. But you know, we saw Sterling Marlin and the Michael Waltrip spin a few laps, go up in that corner. I just wonder if there's something in that corner causing these cars to do that.
I don't know. Time will tell.
Harry Gant, number 33, is a lap down, but everybody else is fighting for position here in this shot. As we're watching from Ricky Rudd's cockpit, Mark Martin is just ahead, Darrell Waltrip in the number 17 car, and then the leader of the race, Dale Earnhardt. Brett Bodine is also between Waltrip and Earnhardt.
And Earnhardt has checked out on him. He's about 3 or 4 seconds ahead right now.
That would certainly play to Earnhardt's advantage if you get a late caution flag with just 20 or 30 laps to go. Because you're right, Ed, he has some tremendous early strength on these restarts.
Mark Martin, the driver of the Stroh's Light Ford, making a late season charge to the Winston Cup Championship. There is Terry Labonte, who has run very well today in the Junior Johnson and prepared car. Junior, of course, with more wins than any other car owner at this racetrack, which is located only a few miles from his shops.
Running pretty strong there on Ricky Rudd. As we look out the front windshield of Ricky Rudd's car, and he certainly is keeping tabs on Mark Martin up in front of him. And Darrell Waltrip moving on the inside of the car number 15 of Brett Bodine.
This is from Harry Gant's car as Terry Labonte is just ahead. And has a good view of this action for position. The number 21 car is smoking on the racetrack. That is Tommy Ellis in substitution for Neil Bonnet, who hopefully will be back in action next weekend at Rockingham. And Tommy brings the Citgo Ford prepared by the Wood Brothers in.
Well, they're working on the right side as if it were tire smoke, and apparently it was. The right rear quarter panel had rubbed against it. You can see the different color on the sidewall of that tire, so he has gotten close to someone out there. Tommy goes a lap down. He's in a tight battle for the Busch Grand National Championship.
That we will also have a tape-delayed version of next weekend at Rockingham. Only 2 races to go in the Busch Grand National Series. The average speed at the end of 100 laps, 1/4 of the distance, 83.179 miles an hour.
Well, from inside Harry Gant's or Ricky Rudd's automobile, it's easy to see how the fenders get knocked in on the tires at racetracks like Martinsville, North Wilkesboro, Shimless Short Track, because you can see they're awfully close to each other through the corners.
It's the final short track race of the decade in Winston Cup competition. That's Brett Bodine to the inside as the faster cars pass. Gant moving outside and going around Brett with these. Darrell Waltrip remains entrenched in second position. And we talked about this being the final short track race of the decade, and there you can see that Darrell Waltrip has won most short track races in the 1980s, 38% of them as a matter of fact. Dale Earnhardt has won 20%. And now Darrell Waltrip has just lost a spot, dropping from second to third as Mark Martin in number 6 was able to go around.
We must have made Mark Martin mad showing that graphic because I'm going by the winner of the decade. He got position on Darrell from the fourth one on the outside and just simply drove by.
Yeah, Martin's car seems to be back to the form now than he was earlier in the race. It might be that he needs to run a while before those tires get to his liking and the car setup is to his liking and to this racetrack, and then he gets going.
So Martin is second, followed by Darrell Waltrip. Then comes Rudd, Labonte, and then Rusty Wallace. But But Dale Earnhardt has pulled well ahead of everybody else as he's a half a straightaway now. There's the advantage. You can see the interval that Dale Earnhardt has on the rest of the field.
Boy, it's nice to run out there by yourself. It's 1 and 8 seconds.
Wilson has spun for the second time this afternoon. The car is off of the racetrack. It's right in the middle of the backstretch. It is off the racetrack. NASCAR officials see it. They're talking about it, and the caution is coming out. There's also some debris on the racetrack. You can see right behind Rick Wilson.
Yep, he's too close to the racing surface to leave sitting there.
And he may be stuck. I don't know if he can, the suspension of the car might be hung on that road that we see going across from the infield, because the car certainly isn't moving.
Well, these cars are very low to the ground, and it's easy to get them hung up. And it'll be interesting to see if we have pit stops this time around as Rick Wilson sits there helpless.
Hasn't been too many laps since everybody was in for a pit stop.
But here comes Dale Earnhardt.
There is the Richard Childress crew waiting on him, and Jerry Punch will report.
Leader Dale Earnhardt brings his Chevrolet Lumina to a halt at bar into pit road, and he waves off the cold drink. I'm fine. They're cleaning the windshield. Kurt Shelburne to the crew now, changing the right side tires. And now, let's go up second, Mark Martin, pit with Dick Berggren.
Well, they've just also finished right side tires on Mark Martin's car. You're on the crew cam. This is Robin Pemberton, crew chief, wearing this thing. He's just on the left front tire. We're watching to see who's going to be the first one out. They're having trouble with the left rear tire on Mark Martin's car. Took 2 guys to get it out. Jerry Punches with Darrell Waltrip.
They have changed the right side tires, and they have made a chassis adjustment on the side of Chevrolet. They are now changing the left front tire. Eddie Dickerson now adjusting the springs and pitching to the left front of the car. He put the left front tire on, and Waltrip's car is out of the way.
Boy, Darrell Waltrip got killed on that pit stop. He is all the way to the back of the field.
The other 13 cars in the lead lap now, and he will be 12th. Kenny Schrader is the last car to go out that is in the lead lap.
So caution period number 4 in progress here at North Wilkesboro as Rick Wilson got off the racetrack in the backstretch, and we had a lot of activity on pit road there for a moment, but now everybody seems to be back on the racetrack, and we await the green flag once again. Back in a moment.
Back at North Wilkesboro Speedway, under caution here. I'm standing with Jeff Bodine. Jeff, a lengthy pit stop for Darrell Waltrip, but you guys were checking a lot of things. What all did you do?
Jerry, you know, on that last restart, Darrell and Brett Bodine got together, and Darrell said something felt like real funny up in the front end, so the car was just a little bit loose, so we went ahead and made a small chassis adjustment on the right front, and then we had to make sure we didn't have nothing hung up on the left front, so rather than have a problem, you know, later on, you know, we really needed to be getting in and out of the pits, we decided it's the best time to go ahead and evaluate if there was a problem and make sure everything's okay, at least in his mind. And everything's okay. We just got to be careful coming back up through there, but everything will be okay.
Valuable time here in the pits for the Tide crew, but Darrell Waltrip has a lot of traffic to pass, and we're going green. Bob?
He begins from 10th position, Darrell Waltrip does, as the lead is now held by Ernie Irvan in car number 2. Here he comes off the second corner and down the backstretch. Sterling Marlin is right alongside, and Dale Earnhardt is on the back bumper. Here comes Earnhardt to the inside. He passes Marlin. Is he going to pass Ernie Irvan?
Ernie Irvan did not make a pit stop, stayed out there, but looks like the car running awfully well. And Martinsville, this fella had a super run going up there.
And that car this weekend carrying Dinner Bell and Food Lion sponsorship instead of the traditional Kroger sponsorship. And Ernie Irvan is in second position. Sterling Marlin is a lap down. Bill Elliott is in third. Mark Martin fourth. Ricky Rudd is fifth. Then sixth is Rusty Wallace. So the two guys that are battling for the Winston Cup points are first and sixth at the moment, with Earnhardt the leader of the race. We're riding with Ricky Rudd. There's Martin going to the inside.
Jeff Bodine, remember just a few laps ago, this 5 car, the white and gold number 5, was a lap down. And now he is on the move.
While this racing is going on, they're pushing the Kodak Film Oldsmobile of Rick Wilson into the garage area after his encounter. Trouble over on the backstretch.
Richard Petty is in the wall. Richard Petty against the retaining wall just out of turn number 2. And it's Richard's second incident of the day, and it comes on lap 127. He was also involved in this melee down here on the straightaway that took out Hut Strickland and Larry Pearson. And now he does even more damage to the STP Pontiac, but keeps going. Here's a replay of what happened.
A lot of cars running in there together. There's Mike Waltrip down on the inside, and Kyle Petty right on the inside of his dad, Richard Petty. They might have gotten together, and Richard spun to the outside.
And you remember this incident down here on the straightaway. Kyle was also involved in that. So it's been a tough afternoon for both Pettys, Kyle and Richard.
And both of them are in the pits right now. You can see a lot of damage to the STP Pontiac.
And the 55 car, Phil Parsons, has some serious front end damage to his car. He's coming down pit road. It looks like that someone stopped in front of him, and there, look at the nose on that car.
Yeah.
Well, here's a replay now from the side cam on Michael Waltrip's car.
Well, there Michael goes on the inside of Brett Bodine. Looks like he clips him a little bit. There's Kyle Petty in the car number 42 up in front. And no, the car number 30 of Michael Waltrip hits Richard Petty and spins him around.
Ooh, boy, oh boy. That was a super shot from the door. Richard Petty didn't like it too much, but
so they continue to look over the STP Pontiac as Kyle is right behind in the other car. Let's go down to Dick Bergman, who's right there in the Petty pit.
Well, Bob Jenkins, the guy who's won the most races here at North Wilkesboro, isn't going to win today. Richard Petty up on pit road. His son is right behind him. Both cars are heavily damaged. Right now they're working on the left rear corner of Richard Petty's car. And Jerry Punch is with the Kodak team. Jerry, what happened to those guys?
Well, they are scampering around the car trying to get Rick Wilson back on the racetrack. We'll try to get a quick comment. We'll sneak in here. Rick, what happened to the car?
Something shorted out in the car and it just killed the motor. Right now we're trying to find a short or whatever it caused. It just killed the motor all of a sudden. And Kyle was behind me and right in the middle of the corner. He hit me and spun me. Something along the electrical system.
Rick Wilson out of it. A lot of cars here in the garage are trying to get repaired. The Larry Pearson car working. They're working heavily on the Hines car back here, as you see, trying to get all these guys back out and pick up some valuable points.
Points could be very, very valuable. Could mean $20,000, $30,000. From Harry Gant's bumper cam, first of all, the replay of this crash. You can see it way back in the background as it's coming up here.
Well, we're going, this is, well, there's Richard Petty. And Kyle, looks like Kyle is slowed down, and Richard Petty is trying to get by him when Michael Walter comes up and touches him in the left rear, and around he goes.
So that's how it was from Gant's bumper cam. Now here's the real time from Michael's side cam. Watch and listen to this. Petty into the wall, and he's still in the pit area. And here we go green on lap 131 with Dale Earnhardt the leader. Kyle Petty is behind the wall. Irvin runs second. Bill Elliott is third. Mark Martin fourth. Jeff Bodine fifth. Ricky Rudd sixth. And Rusty Wallace is now seventh, followed by Alan Kowicki, then Morgan Shepherd and Darrell Waltrip.
Bill Elliott got a terrible break on the restart with a slow car. So it was on the inside trying to get their lap back. Bobby Hillen, Tommy Ellis, and Harry Gant.
Gant's bumper cam once again with the pictures. That's Jeff Bodine moving to the inside of Mark Martin. Bill Elliott to the left. Ricky Rudd is in the green car behind Mark Martin.
Jeff Bodine's car was not working too well at the first part of this race, but after he got his lap back, they made adjustments on it, and he is going to be a factor. He'd like to impress these Wilkes County, North Carolina fans here because he'll be driving for Junior Johnson next year.
Good point. Junior Johnson, of course, as we said earlier, whose shops are just down the road in Rhonda, North Carolina. Now here's Bobby Hillin Jr. in the 8 car. And we go inside Ricky Rudd's car as he battles alongside Mark Martin with Jimmy Spencer and Tommy Ellis just ahead.
Now Spencer and Ellis are battling for position, even though they're a lap down. They're battling for about the 14th position.
And Rusty Wallace has suddenly come back toward the front as he is racing with Mark Martin and Ricky Rudd. And Bill Elliott appears to be off the pace a little as he was a little slow coming off of corner number 2. Everything appears to be okay.
He might have just slipped up in the corner. It looks like that might have been what happened because he's certainly running up to speed now.
Look at the tight action from Ricky Rudd's car. Little contact with Jimmy Spencer in the Crisco car, number 88. Dr. Jerry Punch will now report on the problems of Kyle Petty. Jerry?
Take a look at the front of this mangled peak Pontiac here of Kyle Petty, and Kyle is back in the garage area and has climbed out of the car. He must feel a little bit like a cue ball out there.
Yeah, really, I am. I feel like it. I left my pits early. That was my fault, and run the left front tire off. Now spun out and caused a wreck out there, and then something happened to Rick's car. I run in the back of him, and when that happened, then I guess it knocked all the sheet metal up on top of the oil cooler and got a little hot and overheated the oil, and I guess it spun a bearing. But I tell you, the car was working good. We just had to start in the back because of points. I'd like to say hello to my wife, Patty, who's recovering from surgery. She's at home right now, so I guess I'm not going to be a victory lane after all today.
Kyle Petty out of it here at Wilkesboro.
Now, Rusty Wallace is in the middle of a three abreast battle here, and he
went right on in there.
He doesn't appear to be playing it too conservative, at least at this point. He put his nose right in there. And here we are with Michael Waltrip's side cam once again with Rusty just ahead. There you can see that both Rick Wilson and Derek Cope are behind the wall as crews try to get their cars back into competition. Those that have dropped out, Bud Strickland, Larry Pearson, and Kyle Petty, who we just heard from.
Martin trying to get by Ricky Rudd there. Rusty Wallace. There we see Mark Martin from inside the Rudd automobile. Mark Martin pulls up on the inside. This is coming off the second corner. Has position going in 3 and takes the spot away.
That would be for 5th position. Mark Martin goes into 5th and Ricky Rudd is back to 6th. Let's go to Dr. Vic Bergen with a report on driver protocol.
Well, this morning at the drivers' meeting, Bob Jenkins, everybody was told that they need to pay special attention to the guys who are running for the championship. Competition director Dick Beatty told them, if you hit one of those guys, you better go find the other 3 and hit them too. If you give one of them an advantage, go find the other 3 and give them an advantage as well. Don't mess these people up. So if you're seeing some of the competitors give a little extra room to Earnhardt, to Rusty Wallace, to Mark Martin, to Darrell Waltrip, that's why they were told to do that by NASCAR.
It really only makes sense because there is so much money on the line and so much prestige, really, to the winner of the Winston Cup.
And I think that you hit the nail on the head when you said prestige. And to these guys, I really believe that it means more to win the championship than it does than the money does.
And here is Rusty Wallace now pulling alongside of Ricky Rudd. Kodiak Pontiac on the inside as they go down the backstretch. Wallace has about a half a car length on Ricky and now has completed the pass. So Rusty Wallace begins to move forward once again to the Holly Farms 400 Winston Cup race from North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. We'll be back with more of our live coverage right after this. back at North Wilkesboro, where Dale Earnhardt is leading the Holly Farms 400. In second place is Ernie Irvan in car number 2, and Irvan has been holding on to that position for quite a number of laps. He started this race in 23rd position. He was in 17th at the end of 40 laps, moved up to 11th, led at the end of 120, and now is back in second position at the end of 160 laps. He's from Modesto, California, and did grow up on the short tracks out on the West Coast. And we asked him, has your short track background helped you in the last few Winston Cup races?
Well, you know, I think anybody that's even stepping into Winston Cup, you know, has come from short track backgrounds, and that's basically all I ever ran. You know, Martinsville's kind of a big track compared to what we ran on the West Coast and things like that. You know, very few half miles, a lot of quarter miles and third miles, and I think that really helps me at Martinsville. And I grew up racing on tires that were 8 inches wide and had to learn to just ease that throttle on. You know, Ivan Baldwin, the guy I grew up with, he taught me a long time ago. He says you got to treat that throttle like it's an egg, and you can't break it as you come off the corner. I had to do that all day at Martinsville, and it worked.
Well, he turned in the best performance of his Winston Cup career a couple of weeks ago, a 6th at Martinsville. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
You can't be surprised to see how well Ernie Irvan is running here. Remember a couple of weeks ago in Martinsville, Virginia, he was in the same car, the same short track Pontiac, and he had the best run and best finish of his young career. He finished 6th up there, an impressive afternoon in Martinsville, Virginia. I tell you, they had an awfully good effort going up there, and they got the same thing going today. The fellow who's largely responsible for that is standing by with my colleague Dick Berggren. Dick?
Along with Ernie Irvan's crew chief, Bob Johnson. Bob, it's an awfully good run, but can you keep this run going until the end of the day?
I don't know. We'll see what happens. You know, it started way in the back because of lining up by points. It kind of hurt us, so we took a chance on that last stop. Seems to be working out pretty good, you know. Ernie's doing a heck of a job, and guys have been working hard the last 7, 8 weeks to see what we can do. We hope we can hang on.
They're hopeful.
So Ernie Irvan continues to hold on to second position.
But he better not look behind him, because there's a blue number 6, Mark Martin. And folks, he is strong today. He's marched through this field and is up in 3rd spot.
Mark Martin, not too far behind him is Jeff Bodine. And here comes Davey Allison in for an unscheduled pit stop. Davey has been in and out of the pits, and certainly the Hamilton Ford is not working right this afternoon. And to update you on a couple of others, Richard Petty and Lake Speed have both gone behind the wall. Rick Wilson is back on the racetrack.
And Derek Cope is behind the wall in the Purolator Pontiac as well.
And Dale Jarrett has been in and out the pits. He has overheating problems in the Hardee's Pontiac, so he's a number of laps down as well.
Changing the tires on the right side of the Hamilton Ford, driven by Davey Allison as they put the hood down. But Davey is not having a very good day at all. Now here is Mark Martin, who has passed Ernie Irvan, and so Mark Martin is in second. And there is Jeff Bodine, not too far behind Ernie Irvan. And Jeff Bodine, as we indicated earlier, is back on the lead lap. And Bodine is moving toward the front.
He's up to 4th position now, and he was a lap down at one time.
There's the interval between 1st and 2nd, and you can see that Dale Earnhardt is well in command of this race. Darrell Waltrip in car number 17 is just ahead of his brother Michael Waltrip, as we have Michael's side can in operation once again.
And I don't know what they did on Darrell Waltrip's car on that pit stop, but they better undo it, because he is certainly not as fast as he was earlier.
He's in 10th at the moment. Darrell Waltrip in 10th.
We're still 12 cars on the lead lap. There, Dale Earnhardt, Ernie Irvan, who was running second, now in 3rd place, and Jeff Bodine, Mark Martin, Bill Elliott, Rusty Wallace, Ricky Rudd, Alan Kowicki, and here goes Rusty Wallace around Bill Elliott. That's for the 5th position. Morgan Shepherd also still on the lead lap. Darrell Walton mentions 10th, Terry Labonte's 11th, and Ken Schrader in 12th. Those are the 12 cars on the lead lap.
It's a good side-by-side battle here. It was there just a moment ago as Wallace pulled right alongside Bill Elliott to try to pick up the position. And here are the two that finished 1st and 2nd in Winston Cup points last year, with Elliott coming out with a championship. And this year it is Rusty Wallace still trying to win his 1st championship, But this year, his nemesis, his opponent, is Dale Earnhardt.
Did you see Rusty Wallace on the last lap coming off turn 4? He lost the back end just a little bit. He's going to try it again.
Oh, he did it again.
He wiggled again.
Yep.
But you know, with a bias-ply tire before, it really didn't bother. Ooh, he carries Bill in and says, hey, boy, let me by. But that didn't bother Rusty Wallace before the bias-ply tire. But it seems like these radials, when they slip, it really gives these fellas a fit. They're not able to go on in the next corner the way they came off the last one.
All right, now let's talk about what just happened here. Bill Elliott, of course, we already heard that the drivers were told in the drivers' meeting to give these guys a little bit of extra. Is that what Bill Elliott did, knowing that last year he was in the position to win the Winston Cup?
No.
Okay.
No, I think he was racing for position the best he could, and Rusty, it took him a little while to get around. Now, once he got on the inside, Bill gave him some running room, but I don't think he was just moving over and letting him go.
What happened? Rusty Wallace went down in turn 1, Bob, and he went in a little bit harder, and he literally carried Bill Elliott up the hill. Elliott had no choice except move up or run into the 27 car. Now, he didn't want to run into the 27, no. And there's Jimmy Spencer, Alan Kulwicki, Ricky Rudd, Morgan Shepherd in the race behind these fellas.
This is a good race.
We talked about those 12 drivers in the lead lap. One lap down is Harry Gadd in 13th. 14th is Jimmy Spencer. 15th is Michael Waltrip. Brett Bodine is 16th. 17th, Bobby Hill and Phil Parsons is 18th. And Dick Trickle 19th. From 13th through 19th, they're all one lap down. 2 laps down is Dave Marcus in 20th place. Sterling Marlin 21st, 2 laps down. And Tommy Ellison 22nd. He too is also 2 laps down.
Spencer, Kulwicki, and Rudd. Watching from Rudd's vantage point as Spencer and Kulwicki get very close together. Davey Allison is back out onto the racetrack after spending several laps on pit road.
We have had some collision down the back straightaway, and they all saved the cars.
Oh, I was looking for a...
Boy, look at Spencer is really wiggly off at the 4th turn.
I thought we were going to have a major crash there, but nothing happened. It's just a lot of paint trading by Alan Kulwicki and Jimmy Spencer.
Oh, something happened okay, but they all came out of it okay.
That's why we have such a big crowd here today, fellas.
Watch this short track race. Ooh, Kulwicki is slowing.
Here comes Spencer on the inside and Rudd on the outside.
Well, I think Kulwicki might have just broken traction momentarily.
Morgan Shepherd going by. Darrell Waltrip joins in this. This is a great race. And you're right, Ned. That's why they're here.
Spencer drops back. Here comes Rudd looking inside of Alan Kulwicki off the corner.
Put the bumper to him just a little bit to get him a little bit out of shape, then pulled on the inside.
And Kulwicki wiggles a little, and here comes Morgan Shepherd past, and Darrell Waltrip also does.
Yeah, that little wiggle cost him 3 positions.
I know, it looks like he might have a tire going flat. It really does, Lee, because his car is handling awful right now. Yeah.
Oh, here he spins on the straightaway. Just couldn't
hold on to it. His left rear tire is flat. See, the left rear tire is completely flat.
And Jimmy Spencer had just committed himself to come into the pits. He's coming, you can see his car on the right of the screen. He's coming on down pit road as the caution flag waves. There you can see that left rear tire on Kulwicki's car is completely flat.
Allen gets it headed in the right direction. But the 5th caution flag of the day is out on lap 183 as Alan Kulwicki loses control coming off of corner 4. And here's a replay.
You know, he's lucky because he was right in front of Michael Waltrip and Terry Labonte. Both those fellows able to miss him. Also, Rick Wilson.
And he was able to not hit the wall too hard on the inside. I think he'll be okay if he comes in and gets some tires on him. Here he is again, going around. And you can see he just backs it gently into the wall on the inside. Don't think that did too much damage.
Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's in Earnhardt's pit.
It'll be a 4-tire change for the leader, Dale Earnhardt. Kirk Shelburne and the crew come running around the car. David Smith, Will Lynn. Smith slides a jack beneath the car. Let's go up to Dick Bergen while Kyle Petty's going to get in a car. Dick?
Yeah, everybody else is changing tires. Sterling Marlin just came out of the car, and he is some wobbly. He is not feeling well. Sterling Marlin ill. Kyle Petty in the car now, strapping in. And Jerry Punch is in Waltrip. Jerry?
Left side tire, the 5 Chevrolet, the crew now. Jeff Hammond, Sandy Jones, Eddie Dickerson drop the car, down the way. The leaders, 4 tires, back to turn 1. Gentlemen,
Waltrip moves back out. So does Terry Labonte. And the 7 car of Alan Kulwicki still has the flat tire.
But it's the right rear. Yeah, the left rear was flat a while ago. Now the right rear is flat.
Both of his rear tires are flat. Now this is going to be a real. See, they don't even know the right rear's flat yet.
Well, he's going to find out in a minute.
Yes, he will. He was trying to get back out and not lose a lap in the pits, but he did go the lap down. He would have been much better off to have stayed in there. But like I say, they didn't know that. They knew that left rear tire was flat,
but they didn't know the right rear was flat.
Now he's going to have to encircle the entire track and come back in for a change on the right side. We'll be back with more from North Wilkesboro. Very near the halfway point of the Holly Farms 400 there, the top 5, Earnhardt, Bodine, Martin, Wallace, and Elliott. There are 11 cars on the lead lap, and if the race should end right now, Rusty Wallace would maintain his Winston Cup points lead. We have some good racing going on. This is somewhat back in the pack. That's Ernie Irvin in car number 2. Alan Kulwicki trying to move back up through the pack after his recent spin that caused our most recent caution period. That's Ken Schrader to the outside, and we move inside. Ricky Rudd's Quaker State Buick.
He's racing Schrader for position for the 6th position.
Ooh, 75. Morgan Shepherd, Dave Marks made a little bit of contact coming off the 4th corner. Terry Labonte, the red, white number 11, and the orange and white 17 of Darrell Waltrip.
Most of these guys are racing for position. Morgan Shepherd is, Ken Schrader, Terry Labonte, Darrell Waltrip. Here's Labonte working inside of Ken Schrader off number 4.
Schrader has really been backing up the last 5 or 6 laps. Yeah, the car just not handling well at all.
He was running 6th, and I believe he's now back as much as 9th or 10th.
11 cars on the lead lap now. There were 12, halfway point coming up, and of course Alan Kulwicki was the car that went off the lead lap when he spun and lost the lap in the pits.
So now we settle in for the second half of the race as Dale Earnhardt, the leader, has been shown the cross flags indicating halfway through. There is the leader, Earnhardt, coming down to complete lap 2:01. And Jeff Bodine, the yellow and white Levi Garrett Chevrolet, is running in second. We watch him from Harry Gant's bumper cam, and Phil Parsons and Brett Bodine are into the wall.
That's up in turn 4, just as they start off in turn 4. Bodine's car still moving.
Harry Gant's trying to get by Earnhardt. Can't make it.
Will not be able to do it as Dale crosses the line under caution. And we have had now 7 caution periods. Phil Parsons brings out one on lap 2:02. Here's a replay of what happened.
Well, they were both sort of spinning when they came into the picture there. They were already loose and spinning up into the outside wall. Didn't look like Brett Bodine hit the wall. But Phil Parsons has some damage to his Crown Skull Oldsmobile.
That's water. That's the overflow on the radiator. That's where the tube goes back in the right rear quarter, and that's water running out of the Crown Skull Oldsmobile. So looks like he's had some. Boy, it's really coming out, isn't it?
Yeah, this is going to take a while to clean up. They'll have to get the car off the racetrack, and of course have to get the moisture up from the racetrack before we go green. Ken Schrader is in for a tire change. We mentioned how he was slipping backwards just before that yellow came out, and so this tire change may help.
And a chassis adjustment as well.
That's correct. We saw the fellow back in the rear window of the car on the right rear. He was making an adjustment to the chassis of the car.
You know, we've talked so much about Charlotte and how Earnhardt and Wallace swapped the points lead, but we have failed, or at least not paid very much attention to the guy who won that race, and that is Ken Schrader.
And yeah, he had a tremendous run.
He really did. I was going to say something about that a moment ago when he and Ernie Irvin running side by side.
So it is Earnhardt who is leading at the moment, just past the halfway point of the Holly Farms 400 here at North Wilkesboro. Back in a moment. What can happen in short track competition? That is Phil Parsons' car, and we move into the 1990s with that little rap song there.
Well, and again, I think it fits the situation of the short tracks, because look at Phil's car as he crawls out of the automobile. But we've had lots of cars torn up like that today.
Yes, sir, and every time you go to the short track with the competition that you have today, you're going to see a lot of that kind of thing going on.
will continue to bring you the action here on ESPN. There's a shot from our bumper cam, and here's Brett Bodine moving back out onto the racetrack. He's showing a considerable amount of damage. That is the car, of course, that crashed with Phil Parsons up there in turn number 3. And by the way, the track crew is still up there trying to get the moisture out of the racetrack. So it's going to be a couple of more laps before we can get back into a racing situation and a green flag. We are live at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina for the Holly Farms 400. And the battle is up front for the lead as we come back to green. It's Dale Earnhardt now being challenged by Jeff Bodine.
What a comeback story this is for Jeff Bodine. A lap down earlier, got his lap back when we had a big crash on the front straightaway. Now trying to take the lead away from Dale Earnhardt in the Goodwrench Chevrolet.
Now Harry Gant at car number 33 is in 12th position, 1 lap down. So he is simply trying to get back on the lead lap as we ride with him. 215 laps are completed. Rusty Wallace is running 4th. Mark Martin is 3rd.
There have been only 3 drivers to lead this race so far today: Earnhardt, Mark Martin, and Ernie Irvan. So of the point leaders, Earnhardt and Martin are those that have gained the 5 points, and Earnhardt is going to get pretty close to leading the most laps here before too long, which will be another 5 bonus points.
Good racing here. Ricky Rudd, car 26. That's Bobby Hillin, number 8. The 21 is driven by Tommy Ellis. Now Rudd is in 7th position on the lead lap. Bobby Hillin is 2 laps down in 14th. Dick Trickle is also 2 laps down in 13th position. And the 21 car is also 2 laps down. That, of course, is Tommy Ellis. Morgan Shepherd is there on the right side of your screen. 75 of Morgan Shepherd is on the lead lap. There is Darrell Waltrip, who is also on the lead lap. And Ken Schrader at number 25, so is number 11. So we have 3 cars running right here that are battling for position: Waltrip, Labonte, and Schrader. And we're watching from the side cam of Michael Waltrip, who is 20th position, 2 laps down.
Well, ever since Darrell Waltrip made that extended pit stop to make the adjustment on the chassis, he has found himself in some very, very heavy traffic back there and has had to be awfully careful.
Oh. Contact there between Tommy Ellis and Darrell Waltrip.
When we keep talking about track position, that's what we're talking about. Making those good pit stops so you always are back out at the front of the pack and not having to worry about traffic like Darrell Waltrip and Michael are concerned with now, because it is awfully heavy back there.
I think we got to admit that one of the first times we used this side cam was at Michigan, and quite frankly, it wasn't too exciting. But since we have gotten on the short tracks, this side cam can really show us some action.
It really does. And we're able to see behind those cars and see the contact between those cars.
Brett Bodine has a flat right front. Dick Bergeron.
Well, Bob Jenkins, he's got a little more than a flat right front. He also hit the wall in the process, and whether that tire became flat after he hit the wall or before was hard to tell, but he thumper a good one going into the first corner. He's had a tough time today. The nose of the car is damaged, left side of the car is damaged. He's patiently sitting here waiting for the Bundaberg crew to get this car all squared away.
Meanwhile, on the racetrack, it is Ernie Irvan trying to fend off Bill Elliott and Alan Kawicki. Now remember, Kawicki lost 2 laps a while ago when he spun here on the main straightaway.
Yeah, he lost 1 lap while he was sitting on the racetrack and then lost another lap in the pits.
But 2, 9, and 26 are still on the lead lap.
And Ernie Irvan was able to pass Bill Elliott and pull 5 or 6 car lengths ahead of him. Super run today for Ernie Irvan. You mentioned a moment ago, today he's sponsored by Dinner Bell, which is normally the Winkle sponsorship. But because the Winkle team was not up in the points enough to be able to run this race, that's why Ernie Irvan put Dinner Bell on the side of the car with Kroger's blessing.
Let's check our Napa race summary to this point. Dale Earnhardt has led 167 of the 220 laps at an average speed of 87.986 miles an hour. We've had 3 leaders, 4 lead changes, 7 caution periods, total of 46 laps, and 11 cars are on the lead lap. Those that are out of the race: Hut Strickland, Kyle Petty, Richard Petty, and Phil Parsons. Those who have picked up 5 Winston Cup bonus points for leading include Earnhardt, Martin, and Ernie Irvan.
And as we mentioned, Dale Earnhardt is getting very close to leading the most laps during the day. He's not quite to that point yet that he can claim it, but it won't be too long if he stays out there, and that is another 5 bonus points.
He has led all but 53 laps today, Dale Earnhardt has. Kulwicki and Bill Elliott side by side.
I started to say that Kulwicki had finally taken the spot away, but no, Elliott came back on the outside. But now Kulwicki does have the spot, and Ricky Rudd tries to move alongside the 9 car.
And that will be for position. That was only track position as far as Kulwicki was concerned, because as we mentioned, he is 2 laps down.
Here's Ernie Irvan trying to pass Rusty Wallace. Don't you know this makes Ernie feel about as good as he possibly can to pass Rusty Wallace, and he goes by him.
Let's go to Dick Berggren for a comment on the 2 car as Ernie Irvan salutes and waves to Rusty Wallace as he passes.
Well, Bob Jenkins, Jeff Prospike, spotter down here, has been listening to the radio communication between Ernie Irvan and his crew, and it has been absolutely incredible. Ernie, just a few moments ago, radioed to the crew saying, "Let me get this straight. You want me to pass all the cars, save the tires, don't wreck, and win the race?" His crew chief just sent back one word: right.
Not too much of an assignment, is it? Ernie Irvan has moved to 4th position, dropping Rusty Wallace back to 5th. A great run by Ernie.
Well, another fellow that ran good at Martinsville along with Ernie Irvan was Dale Jarrett, who had his best finish ever, but he has taken the Hardee's Pontiac to the garage and out of the race. And as he was going into the garage, Lake Speed was coming back out of the garage.
Speed has been in the garage area a long time, but now is back out there in competition. We focus in, meanwhile, on the battle for 2nd position. Geoff Bodine and Mark Martin.
Here again, we see the green and white Skoal car was able to get by Geoff Bodine just a couple of laps ago. Now Mark Martin has run Geoff down. The blue number 6, that's Mark Martin, is Stroh's Life 4th Thunderbird, and he has position on Bodine.
And that's Dick Trickle just behind these 2 as they race for position. Martin has the inside line, and here comes Dick Trickle in the number 84 car, and Mark Martin is going to go into 2nd spot. Now, Dick Trickle, under normal circumstances, would be in Nashville, Tennessee today for the All-American 400, a race that brings together top short track drivers from all over the country and various sanctioning organizations. But because of the rain out we had here 2 weeks ago and his commitment to Winston Cup, he is here today. But he said in the moments before this race that his heart really was in Nashville because he knew he could win that race.
There must have been a song about that sometime along. My heart's in Nashville, but my heart's in North Wilkesboro. No, that's backwards, right?
Well, it can't be any better than the rap song that we just heard on the short track races. Mark Martin, 2nd position now. Geoff Bodine is in 3rd. Dick Trickle, by the way, 2 laps down in 13th.
And Mark Martin is running 4 1/4 seconds behind Dale Earnhardt. So Earnhardt is sort of checked out on once again. It wasn't too long ago that we saw Geoff Bodine battling Earnhardt for the front position. Then Earnhardt just started pulling away.
Ernie Irvan is 4th and Rusty Wallace is 5th.
But you know, Mark Martin's car seems to get better as the race wears on. Just like at Dover, Delaware, when we saw the race up there about a month ago. His car got a little bit better as the race wore on. And if this thing were to stay green the rest of the day, I'm not sure that Mark Martin will win the race.
Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's caught up with Dale Jarrett.
Well, Bob, a couple of weeks ago, this young driver led nearly 100 laps in Martinsville, Virginia. But today, Dale, it wasn't to be your day. From the very beginning, you just had trouble. People trying to run over you out of turn 4. But what finally put you out?
Well, we've been running hot about the last 100 laps, and apparently we've got a head gasket going or something. We've just been trying to nurse it around, and just finally gave up before we tore the engine all to pieces and caused somebody else some trouble out there. So just wasn't a good day for the Hardee's Pontiac. Starting that far back, we didn't have a bad car. I got hit earlier and spun out, but that didn't hurt us too bad. But you know, being all the way back there just hurt our chances of having a good run here today.
Dale Jarrett out of it in the Hardee's Pontiac.
And there is the leader, Dale Earnhardt. We haven't seen him in a while simply because he's running by himself, well in command of this race and about a half a straightaway ahead of second place Mark Martin. Dale Earnhardt has had things pretty much all his way so far in this event as he tries to recapture the points lead in the battle for the Winston Cup. We'll be back in just a moment. Action will be summarized on Speed Week this week, and Darrell Waltrip is having trouble on the track. He's dropped back numerous positions. Jerry Punch is there to report on the trouble.
There's a discussion going on behind me between Sandy Jones, Jeff Hammond, and the crew. Apparently, Darrell Waltrip has lost the brakes on the car. He is trying to pump the pedal to get a little bit of brake, but he's having to slow down. They have been showing some smoke. Possibly they may have cut a brake line. They may have some brake fluid leaking from the car. The NASCAR official was standing there talking to the people in the tower. They in turn are talking to Jeff Hammond and the Tide crew. A tough break for Darrell Waltrip and the Tide Chevrolet.
Darrell had remained on the lead lap and remained in the top 10, but now this problem has put him back a few positions. Let's check the top 10 with 248 laps completed. It's Earnhardt leading with Mark Martin second and Jeff Bodine, Ernie Irvan, and Rusty Wallace. 6 through 10, Ricky Rudd, Bill Elliott, Morgan Shepherd, Terry Labonte, and Ken Schrader. And the 11th car, the only other one on the lead lap, would be Darrell Waltrip. Now, if the race were to end right now, Rusty Wallace would maintain his Winston Cup points lead over Dale Earnhardt by just 5, and Mark Martin would be 137 behind.
And, you know, Darrell Waltrip going into this race still had a mathematical shot at the Winston Cup Championship, and the problems that he's having right now is just going to put him further behind. And, you know, with only 3 races remaining, he might not have a shot after today.
Well, after today, we go next Sunday to Rockingham. There's second place Mark Martin.
And he, you know, Mark Martin drives really strange because he's backing off, going in the corners a little earlier than some of the other cars. But once he gets in the corner, he's able to nail that throttle and drive off. It appears to me like that Mark Martin has just radically changed his style because of the radial tires.
What we have right now on bias ply tires slips and slides just like I like it. You know, the back slides a little bit more than the front does, and we can run as hard as we want to run, and we don't have to worry about losing it. We just slip and slide. When we put the radials on and try to do that, I crash. It's that simple.
It's that simple. Well, he hasn't. Ooh, he's got a little bit sideways there, but hasn't crashed today. As I mentioned, 2 weeks ago in practice on Friday, he spun out 3 times trying to qualify.
Now the number 5 car driven by Jeff Bodine. That's your third place machine at the moment. Bodine a lap down earlier in the contest, got it back in a caution period and finds himself third. Dick Berggren is with Waddell Wilson.
Well, you have to be pleased with your run this afternoon, but can you run down those guys ahead of you, Waddell?
Well, right now, Jeff says the car is loose again, but that's Wilkesboro. You know, normally here in the middle of the race the cars get very loose, but we thought we had it cured today, but it's loose again. But hopefully we can get a caution and get it fixed.
He runs real well here today. He's got a good shot at it.
Indeed, he does. Any one of these guys that are on the lead lap has a chance at the victory. We still have quite a distance to go in this race, well over 100 laps, as we watch Dick Trickle now put some pressure on Jeff Bodine. Trickle is a couple of laps down at Miller Highline Buick.
Well, Bob, now we only have 9 cars on the lead lap. Dale Earnhardt just lapped Ken Schrader, who's running in the 10th position. Terry Labonte is the next car, but he's pretty far. He's a full straightaway ahead of Earnhardt, so he's in no danger of going a lap down. But Rusty Wallace is in danger of losing 5th place.
So that means if the race were to end right now, they would be tied for the point lead.
That's right.
From out the back class of Ricky Rudd's car, looking at Rusty Wallace. Ricky just passed him to move into 5th.
Wallace's car not working the way that we normally see that Kodiak Pontiac work on a short track.
You know, I was on the Speed Week show with Bob Jenkins on Thursday evening, and Bob asked me who I felt like would have the advantage, and I I said Earnhardt because Rusty did not run well here in the spring. And whatever they had wrong in the spring, it seems to be has popped back up again, because you're right, Ned. Rusty Wallace is not running as well as we normally see him run.
He really hasn't been in the hunt all day. He's never been up into a position to challenge for the lead.
No, he has run good, but just not as good as he normally does. Let's go to the pits with Dick Berggren, who is with Rusty's crew chief, Barry Dodson.
Well, Barry, you guys are not running in the leaders at this point. Can you adjust the car? What's wrong with it?
We need to adjust it, Dick. The thing's too tight. We thought the track would loosen up. It hadn't happened on this radial tire. We just need a caution, get about 2 rounds of wedge out of it, and we should be a lot better.
Well, one of the guys who's run real strong all day is the number 6, Mark Martin. His crew chief's with Jerry Punch. Jerry?
Well, Steve Mills standing with me. You don't say hard work doesn't pay off. Steve, they say there are 2 kinds of chassis, front steer and rear steer. You had a rear steer and you couldn't win with it. You had a front steer and you weren't satisfied. So what you did, I'm told, you brought a front steer car here and put a rear steer setup under it. People said you were crazy, but you're outrunning most of them.
Well, we're outrunning everybody but one rear steer, so maybe we should have brought the rear steer. But the car's working awful good. What keeps happening is we're having to race a bunch of lap cars and people that can run as good as us when they throw the green flag. So Dale gets out on fresh tires and drives away. Mark has to use his tires up to get back in position. So by the time we're clear, our tires are gone. So we're just kind of waiting on the caution, hoping we can do a better job on the next stop.
One of the hardest working crews and drivers in the business. They are due for a win. Crash. This might come today.
Turn 4, not necessarily a crash, but a spin at least, and we thought we were going to see a yellow flag that was very much needed by Steve Beal and Waddell Wilson and the others, but that didn't happen. Jimmy Spencer was the car that got sideways out in turn 4.
Right in front of Rusty Wallace, I might add. But Rusty was able to drive by him.
So no caution. Dale Earnhardt will definitely pick up the 5 bonus points as lap leader for today, having led over 200. Right now we're at 266. Dale Earnhardt from Kannapolis, North Carolina, driver of the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet car number 3, is leading the Holly Farms 400. And Rusty Wallace finds himself in 6th position. So if the race were to end right now, the drivers would be tied. Here's our side cam as we look at Rusty.
And look at this battle. Ernie Irvan going on the inside of Jeff Bodine and taking over the 4th position. So Ernie Irvan continues to march back towards the front. He was up there in 2nd place for a long, long time, led the race. He's one of only 3 drivers to have led this race today. And then a pit stop during a caution flag put him back in the field, but he's worked his way back now to 4th place.
So he's trying to better his 6th place finish, which was the best of his career a few weeks ago at Martinsville.
And if you wonder who's 3rd, it's Ricky Rudd. He was able to get by Jeff Bodine just a moment ago.
And here is Michael Waltrip moving alongside of Ricky Wallace and in fact passing Rusty. So Rusty may have a problem. Darrell Waltrip is in. Jerry Punch is there.
The winningest short track driver of the decade. 34th career short track wins in the 80s, but he's rolling very slowly down pit road. He does not have any brakes, and Billy Wilburn, Jeff Hammond, and the crew will raise the hood and try to get the brakes fixed. They think they probably have a brake line that has been severed in the left front of the car, and they are going to try to push the car down here and get it fixed. But a 9-time winner of Wilkesboro Speedway will not win today. Leader Dale Earnhardt in heavy traffic.
Passing Sterling Marlin, and now Dave Marcus is just ahead in the Lifebuoy Chevrolet.
Earnhardt continues to pull away from the car number 6 of Mark Martin. He's built up to about a 6-point lead now. And the only car on the racetrack that is running as fast as Dale Earnhardt is Harry Gant. Gant is a lap down, but we'll see him. We watch Earnhardt go into the turn. We'll see Gant come into the picture here very quickly. Now you can see Earnhardt up in front of him, so he's not too far behind Earnhardt. He's going through all that traffic good.
Spin up in turn 4. Michael Waltrip loops just ahead of Rusty Wallace, but Rusty manages to get by without being touched.
And here comes Harry Gant going to get his lap back. Yes, he does.
Oh, he almost got squeezed against the wall by Dave Marcus, but Gant did indeed get the lap back.
He will be a fellow to be reckoned with, gentlemen, in the last half of this race.
Wow, all kinds of action there. Rusty Wallace just missed getting hit or hitting Michael Waltrip, and then Gant getting the lap back, but nearly getting squeezed against the wall by Dave Marcus. And there is Michael Waltrip, who caused this yellow by spinning in turn 4.
And he was directly in front of Rusty Wallace.
Boy, was he. Directly.
Yeah, Rusty's got to feel that he's living a charmed life.
Oh, Michael is having a few words to say to Rusty Wallace. There might have been a little bit of contact between the two boys.
The lap before, there had been some. I looked at it out on the racetrack, and there had been a little contact between them, and maybe there was a little bit more that time around. The leader in the pits, Dale Earnhardt.
Jerry Punch right there to call it.
Earnhardt's Goodrich Chevrolet crew working on the car. It'll be a 4-tire change as per usual. Lots of scrapes and scratches on the left side of the Goodrich Chevrolet, indicating a lot of battle scars. Let's go up to Mark Martin's pit and Dick Berggren.
They're also going to do a 4-tire change up here. Rusty Wallace team as well doing a 4-tire change. Wallace changing the wedge on their car. The crew from Mark Martin almost done with their tire change. Here he goes. Great stop for Mark Martin. He's out.
But Dale Earnhardt was out first.
Here comes everybody else. There goes Rusty, Derek Cope.
But I coming out a little bit late.
Ernie Irvan was also late getting out. Comes Ken Schrader. And there's Harry Gant.
Yep. So he will be back near the end. In fact, he probably will be at the end of the lead lap.
He will be probably the 10th car on the lead lap. Let's take a look at the replay of Michael Waltrip's spin. Here he is just behind Geoff Bodine. And ahead, remember, of Rusty Wallace. Moving into turn 3, the spin will occur in turn 4. It's coming up here shortly.
There he goes. Round he goes. We'll see Rusty in just a moment. Well, he never gets.
Now we'll see him. There he is. Amazing. But Rusty got through unscathed. Michael Waltrip is seeing his brother Darrell in once again. Jerry Punch is right there.
Darrell Waltrip back on pit road here, getting more service on the Tide Chevrolet as they have tried to get the brakes fixed. Then they have come back in and changed the tires on the car. They are looking over the area of the master cylinder. Darrell Waltrip having his troubles here at Wilkesboro Speedway. One driver who's not having any problems is Dale Earnhardt. He shows the way. Stay tuned.
Back at North Wilkesboro, under green, 282 laps completed. Second place is being contested here as Dale Earnhardt once again has the lead. But Terry Labonte, Ricky Rudd, and Mark Martin are all three battling for second.
Terry Labonte made a great pit stop in the Budweiser Ford. He was running about 9th position and came out in 3rd after the pit stop.
And regardless of where his drivers start, and Terry Labonte started in 11th to make that 9th position this afternoon, you can't count a Junior Johnson prepared car out of a North Wilkesboro race. And right now Terry is second, chasing down the leader Earnhardt.
Bob, they had about 120 laps to go when the green flag waved again. I think they'll be able to go the rest of the way if there is not another caution.
Now let's take a look at the pit stop summary. Earnhardt stayed the same. Terry Labonte, look at the positions that he gained on that pit stop. He went in 9th and came out 3rd. Rudd lost 1 position, and Ernie Irvan lost 3 positions. Dale Earnhardt continues to lead. He has, for most of the race, has already picked up the 5 bonus points for leading the most. There is Rusty Wallace, along with Bill Elliott, as they go to the inside of the number 8 car of Bobby Hillin Jr. and Dick Trickle. Here comes Ernie Irvan and Geoff Bodine and others that are on the lead lap.
Rusty Wallace is in the 5th position now. So maybe they made that adjustment that he needed.
Some contact between Ernie and Bill Elliott as they came off the 2nd corner. Both the cars got a little bit loose, and there's contact once again.
Elliott and Irvan are banging on each other.
Now Geoff Bodine moves down on the inside of Bill Elliott to take over the position. Elliott got caught on the outside. Can't get back down in to the low side of the racetrack.
75 car Morgan Shepherd is also on the lead lap, and the green car Harry Gant is working his way back up.
Here's Ernie, was trying to to go by on the outside of the 8 car, Bobby Hillin. Jeff Bodine, as soon as he moved out, took advantage, dived on the inside of him. But Hillin is up there. Now, what's going to happen?
Here's Bodine moving to the inside off the 4th corner. Cannot pass Bobby Hillin, though. Bodine is now in 6th. Ernie Irvan is in 7th. 8th is Elliott. 9th, Morgan Shepherd, and 10th is Harry Gant. And Terry Labonte, meanwhile, is really closing in now on Dale Earnhardt. He's knocking down that advantage.
You know, before that caution came out, we mentioned that he was in 9th position. He was about 3/4 of a lap behind Earnhardt and was losing ground every lap. Now, after that great pit stop, coming out in 3rd place, he has moved right up on the back bumper of Dale Earnhardt.
And let's hear from the man himself, Junior Johnson. He's with Dick Bergman.
Well, here's the master of North Wilkesboro. Junior, can you pull it off? What can you do to win this?
Well, I think we're in real good shape. We did all the tire testing here for the radio tire just about 3 or 4 years ago. And we've had a lot of experience here with the radio tire, but Earnhardt's going to be tough. I think we can stay with him, but I don't know if we can beat him.
Well, we'll find out in about 115 laps.
Well, we'll know then.
Well, as you guys have said many times, catching is one thing, passing is another. And there are Terry Labonte's last 3 finishes. You can see his best is an 11th. Junior Johnson, by the way, 18 wins here at North Wilkesboro. Terry Labonte, his driver, is in 2nd, and he is that close from the leader, Dale Earnhardt. We're glad you could join us on this Sunday afternoon from Winston Cup Racing from North Wilkesboro. With 100 laps to go here at North Wilkesboro, here is the story. Dale Earnhardt is the leader of the race with Terry Labonte closing in. Rusty Wallace is running 6th. If the race were to end right now, there will be a tie for the Winston Cup points lead. Labonte has really come on strong in the last few laps and finds himself now just a few car lengths back of Earnhardt. 3rd is Mark Martin. 4th, Ricky Rudd. 5th is Jeff Bodine. 6th is Rusty Wallace. 7th, Elliott. 8th is Harry Gant. 9th is Morgan Shepherd. And 10th is Ernie Irvan. And those are the cars that are on the lead lap.
It appears as though Earnhardt in the black 3, the white and red number 11, and Labonte evenly matched now.
Here is Ernie Irvan in number 2 as he continues to be on the lead lap, but instead of running in the top 5, he now finds himself in 10th position.
He has really been in some heavy traffic. He, Harry Gant, and Morgan Shepherd, Bill Elliott were all racing for position there with some lap cars. They were trying to get around Bobby Hillin and Jimmy Spencer, and Ernie got pushed a little high coming off of turn 4, and that cost him several positions.
There's Morgan Shepherd running alongside of the 88 car of Jimmy Spencer as they touch, and Michael Waltrip is in the pit area. Now that's the reason why we're not showing you our side cam shots that we had for you earlier in the race, but Michael Waltrip is in the pits and the hood is up on that car as they work on it and try to get it back out there.
There's Harry Gant trying to pass Bill Elliott. This is for about 7th spot, and Sterling Marlin is spun coming off the 4th corner.
Kyle Petty driving that car now. He got in it a little while ago. I assume he's still in it.
Kyle Petty. There is Kyle Petty in the 94 car as the caution comes out for the 9th time this afternoon. The Ultra Sunoco Oldsmobile headed backwards on the racetrack. That's Sterling Marlin's car, but again, we assume that Kyle Petty is still in it as he relieved Sterling a few laps ago.
Okay, it'll be pit stop time again. No question but what they could go the rest of the way from here. Of course, they could have anyway. As far as gas was concerned, they only had 120 laps to go when the green flag waved before, but now the caution out, and I'll bet they'll all come in for new tires.
We shall see in a half a lap.
This is the break that Harry Gant needed because, as Ned Jarrett mentioned, he was an awfully fast race car, but in the middle of heavy traffic, Earnhardt had pulled away for about a half lap advantage. Now Harry Gant able to make a pit stop and pull up in about 5th or 6th spot behind Earnhardt.
Let's see if they pit. Yep, here comes Dale Earnhardt. Jerry Punch will call the stops by the leader.
Dale Earnhardt brings the Goodrich Chevrolet in. He's on top of your screen. Terry Labonte in the car number 11 on the bottom of your screen. Earnhardt almost overshoots the pits, but they're working on the car. Right side charge for Terry Labonte. for Dale Earnhardt and the Goodrich Chevrolet. Kurt Shelburne in the crew now going to the left side. Same way with Labonte. Tim Brewer, Mike Hill in the crew now. Pete Wright working on the Budweiser Ford for Terry Labonte. It's a crew chief race here in the pit. Earnhardt's car off the jack, get down and away. Still working on Labonte's car. Here comes Terry Labonte down pit road. Earnhardt by virtue of an outstanding four-tire stop.
Well, Jerry, evidently Mark Martin only took on 2 tires because he beat them all out. So Mark Martin should be the leader of this race once we restart it because he got out ahead of both of them. I think he only took on right side tires.
Well, we will be answering that question in just a few moments. Meanwhile, we're going to take another break while we are under caution here at North Wilkesboro in the Holly Farms 400s. Stay with us. The field has just taken the green flag, and Mark Martin has the lead, but is he going to be able to hold it? Here comes Earnhardt on the outside, and no, Dale takes it away.
Wow.
Less than a lap from the resumption of the race, Earnhardt blows around Mark Martin and resumes command.
On the outside, too.
Mark Martin just can't get going on the restarts and early on. See, Ricky Rudd is going to try to take second away going down the back straightaway.
Well, Martin only took on 2 tires. We did confirm that, and I think that was a mistake.
Let's go to Dick Berggren, who's with Steve Meal, and he can tell us the strategy in this.
Well, Mark, you only took 2. Everybody else took 4. Do you now wish you had taken 4?
Well, we've been too tight all the time after a restart on new tires, and we really need to run a long time under the green. Hasn't been happening, so we decided we got 2 tires. We'll be loose enough to run the last 90 laps, maybe be in good shape. It's just a gamble. We'll see what happens.
It's not over yet. Last week in Charlotte, when everybody else took on 2 tires, they took on 4. So they're using a different strategy than everybody else, it seems, up and down pit road, trying to get that elusive first win.
Mark Martin is now 4th, and right behind him is Bill Elliott. It's Earnhardt, Rudd, Labonte, then Martin. Then here comes Bill Elliott. Jeff Bodine is next, followed by Morgan Shepherd, and then Rusty Wallace.
And then Ernie Irvin and Harry Gant. Gant came out in 10th place. So, Benny, that what we thought helped him a great deal there didn't help him quite as much because he came out in 10th out of the pits.
No, he didn't. Because by the time he gets back up to 4th or 5th, he'll still be a half lap down.
Jeff Bodine is really all over Bill Elliott for 5th position.
Elliott has run a good race today, but he hasn't been a factor as far as running up front. Now he gets a little tap from Jeff Bodine, but he has kept the car in the lead lap all day, so you got to hand it to him. He's driven a great race.
I tell you what, this has been one of Bill Elliott's better races on a shorter racetrack.
Although he did win Bristol a couple years ago, when he and that fellow right beside him got together and gave us a very exciting run up at Bristol.
Earlier this year here at North Wilkesboro in the First Union 400, Bill Elliott finished 22nd. And Jeff Bodine is passing him now down the backstretch. Elliott a little reluctant to give up the position, but he finally has to. And Jeff Bodine goes to 5th.
Morgan Shepherd, Rusty Wallace, Harry Gant, Ernie Irvin. All those cars on the lead lap. Also, Kenny Schrader, the orange car, maroon car behind Ernie.
No, he's a lap down.
Schrader is a lap down.
Yeah, Earnhardt lapped him.
There is Rusty Wallace, who is just ahead of Harry Gant.
Running in 8th place.
And I'll tell you what, now, if the race were to end, Rusty would lose the lead.
Yes, he would. Dale Earnhardt would be in the lead, I believe, by 10 points. 9 or 10.
You know, in the Charlotte Observer today, Tom Higgins wrote a quote from Rusty Wallace. He said, I feel like I will lose the championship, the lead
points
back
chase.
to Earnhardt,
right?
The points chase, but I'm still going to win the championship.
There you can see some of the cars that are out of the race, and Rick Wilson and Derek Cope remain behind the wall. That is interesting that Rusty would say he thinks he's going to lose the points lead, but eventually win the championship. Now, coming up, and by the way, the last 3 races will be here on ESPN for you to enjoy as you follow the Winston Cup battle with us next Sunday at Rockingham, North Carolina Motor Speedway. And then a couple of weeks after that, it'll be Phoenix, Arizona. Our second visit to that track for Winston Cup competition. We'll close it out in Atlanta.
Harry Gant had a nose up under Rusty Wallace, but Gant saw Larry Pearson up in front of him, and he had to back off, get down on the inside of the track. He'll get another run at it here.
No in-car shots at the moment because our helicopter has had to land for fuel. We'll be back up before the end of the race, hopefully, as we watch Rusty Wallace.
And Jeff Bodine is just past Mark Martin to take the 4th spot away. Levi Garrett Chevrolet running awfully strong today. Bodine doing a super job getting through this traffic.
He's a little less than 3 seconds behind Dale Earnhardt now. We'll clock him in a few more laps and see if he's able to pick up on it once he got out in the clear run.
So it's Earnhardt, Rudd, Labonte, then Jeff Bodine and Mark Martin, followed by Elliott, then Shepard, Gant, Rusty Wallace, and Ernie Irvan. So here he has picked up 8th spot. The 11 car of Labonte.
Now, Bob, that car doesn't seem to be as strong as it was before that last caution. He was able to run with Earnhardt before they changed tires this last time. Now Ricky Rudd is the man up there in 2nd place and keeping Earnhardt in tow, although he's not threatening to take over the lead right now, but the 11 car just isn't running quite as strong as it did.
Really doesn't appear anyone has anything for Dale Earnhardt in that Goodwrench Chevrolet this afternoon. He looks to be the dominant car and led most laps, and every time there's a restart, he simply just pulls away from the competition.
We've given you those drivers that are in the top 10. 11th a lap down is Schrader. 12th 2 laps down is Alan Kulwicki. 13th also 2 laps down is Dick Trickle. 14th position is Dave Marcus. 15th 3 laps down is the number 8 car driven by Bobby Hillin. Then in 16th position it's the 21 driven by Tommy Ellis. Well, we haven't seen any instances of blown engines this afternoon here at North Wilkesboro. As a matter of fact, what happens when an engine blows up? Well, Dr. Jerry Punch tells us it's a bit of a misnomer in this track back. Trackbacks are brought to you by the Robert Bosch Corporation, makers of Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug.
You've all heard us talking about someone blowing up a motor during a race and the big plume of smoke will come out and the safety trucks are on the track for a few laps. Well, they really don't blow up a motor, they actually blow down. Let me show you what I mean. Take a look here in the side of this oil pan. For this unfortunate driver, a large hole here, race fans, that actually shouldn't be here. It's where part of the crank and some of the rods came through the side of the oil pan, and quarts of oil were dumped on the racetrack. A tough break for this driver, a tough break for any driver in a tight point battle, be it Busch Grand National or a Winston Cup. A blown motor. Clear evidence here that something you don't want to have.
Nothing like that this afternoon, but the action has been hot and heavy on the racetrack as we're at the Holly Farms 400 with 332 laps completed. In an effort to regain the Winston Cup points battle, Dale Earnhardt in car number 3 is leading the Holly Farms 400. And his advantage over Ricky Rudd is that much. Rudd in car number 26 is running in 2nd position.
Well, there's no contest there, but we have a contest for 3rd spot. Jeff Bodine has caught Terry Labonte. And Jeff Bodine, the yellow and white car, is going to drive the red and white number 11 next year. So we know, as Ned Jarrett mentioned earlier, he wants to impress these North Wilkesboro fans and pass Labonte.
We continue to pan back and show you the cars as they run on the racetrack, not in their running order. The number 10 car, driven by Derek Cope, is running in 26th position, more than 20 laps down to the field. Behind Derek Cope is the 71 car of Dave Marcus. He is shown in 14th position, 2 laps down. Then comes Tommy Ellis in number 21, and he is 3 laps down in 16th position.
And the car number 6 of Mark Martin, he, of course, is running in the 5th position.
There's 28, Davey Allison. He's been in the pits all day. He's down in 22nd spot. 83, leg speed. He's had problems all day. He's now 24th currently in 24th position.
He was in the pits a long time, as a matter of fact, in the garage area. There's Harry Gant, who's in the top 10 in the Skoal Bandit.
Yeah, he just passed Bill Elliott a little bit ago for the 7th position, I think it was.
9 car of Bill Elliott also on the lead lap. He's running in 7th place.
So Gant would be running in the 6th position now.
Rusty Wallace, our 8th place car, the Kodiak Pontiac. And behind him, Alan Kowicki, who had lost 2 laps, 2 flat tires. There goes Alan down in turn 1, the Xerox Ford.
And then we see Morgan Shepherd right behind him, 74 and 84 and 75, running side by side. Morgan is still in the lead lap, but he has dropped back the last few laps. In fact, he has dropped back to 9th position as Dick Trickle moves around him, and the car number 84 of Dick Trickle is 13th, 2 laps down.
Ernie Irvan is still on the lead lap. The 10th and final car on the lead lap in number 2. The number 30 car is Michael Waltrip. He's been up and down all day and currently 21st.
57 car, Hud Strickland. We saw him make some collision with a wall earlier on. The rookie point thing, Dick Trickle continues to lead that. Hud Strickland had a tough day today.
And Larry Pearson, who's also in the battle for the Winston, for the Rookie of the Year, is out of the race. Here's Bobby Hillen, who is 15th, 3 laps down.
Jimmy Means, the Alka-Seltzer Pontiac. He's in 28th spot. Jimmy's had problems all day long. And right behind him, 25-88, that's Ken Schrader, the winner last week in Charlotte, and Jimmy Spencer in the Crisco Pontiac. Good race going between these two fellas.
Yes, Schrader is 1 lap down in 11th place, and Spencer is in 14th position. 18th position, I beg your pardon.
Some 4 laps down. Yeah. And those are the cars that are on the racetrack as we're back to our leader, Dale Earnhardt. So that's the way they run now. And we are on lap 350, so we've got 50 more laps to go in the Holly Farms 400 here at North Wilkesboro. Will Dale Earnhardt hold on for the win? There's our leader, Dale Earnhardt, with 44 more laps to go. Putting another lap on Tommy Ellis in car number 21. Dale Earnhardt has led most of the way in this race so far. He was a pole sitter, and of course we started according to points before Charlotte, and he took the lead at the beginning of the race and has held it most of the time.
You know, they're talking about race car drivers hearing noises in their cars, as well as that car has run today. And as early as he went out of the race last week at Charlotte, you suppose that Earnhardt is concerned about what could go wrong with this car today. Is it going to happen? Am I going to be able to stay out here? You know, those things has to be going through his mind.
You would think so, especially after what happened last week in a mechanical problem that just eliminated him from the race completely at the end of only 13 laps. Ooh, look at him battle the wheel coming off the corner. Here's Rusty Wallace, number 27, and Bill Elliott in number 9. Now, I mentioned a few minutes ago that Larry Pearson was out of the race. He isn't. He's back out on the racetrack. You can see him there as Rusty Wallace and Bill Elliott pass by.
In fact, Bob, of the 30 cars that started this race, 27 of them are back out on the racetrack. We have shown graphics of some cars out of the race. The only 3 cars that are in the garage area right now are the 2 Pettys, Kyle and Richard Petty, and Dale Jarrett.
Rusty Wallace trying to hold his position. He just passed Bill Elliott to move up into 7th. And each position he moves up gives him a few more Winston Cup points. And they are so very, very valuable. There is Earnhardt off of corner number 4. Finds himself in 2nd place in the Winston Cup points for the first time since earlier this year at June. He lost it last week at Charlotte. So after the problems at Charlotte last week, has anything changed in the shop this past week?
What broke at Charlotte was just a camshaft broke. You know, that's material. You can't do anything about metal breaking. If it gives up, it gives up. But, just one of those things. The guys in the shop are right on cue. They're doing everything they got to do to try to win, and you know, nothing's changed.
Well, nothing has changed certainly as they have got him in the lead once again.
Well, I tell you what, those fellas in the shop, I don't envy them for the next month trying to go over every part that they possibly can to make sure that there's nothing breaks. Earnhardt last week, 13 laps, he breaks a camshaft, finishes 42nd in a field of 42 cars. Last spot, oh, he made contact with Michael Waltrip going in the corner. The car wiggled tremendously in the middle of the corner. Earnhardt lucky that he didn't spin out.
Well, if the race ended right now, he would be in the point lead by 4 points over Rusty Wallace if they finished in the positions that they're in right at this moment.
Well, I'm sure that L.G. DeWitt, Frank Wilson, Herman Hickman, all the people down in North Carolina Motor Speedway is hoping that we come down there next week 3 or 4 points difference in the Winston Cup Championship.
Now here is a good battle for position between Terry Labonte in number 11 and Jeff Bodine in number 5. This is for 3rd place. Second is Ricky Rudd, but this is the battle for 3rd now. Oh, we have a car in the wall. Jimmy Spencer slides up and bumps the wall between turns 3 and 4. The car is still moving. It's going backwards on the racetrack. NASCAR has still not thrown a caution flag.
But I don't believe he can get back down across the racetrack. If he does, he's going to run into somebody because the car is all the way around the track.
Yellow's out. Earnhardt takes the yellow flag. Ernie Irvan just stayed on the lead lap. He was just about to be lapped, but now this caution was a good deal for him.
Well, I don't think Earnhardt wanted to see this caution flag. He wanted to go and run this thing out the rest of the way. Now he's got to make another pit stop and hope the next set of tires that he gets on is as good as what he's had all day.
It's definitely going to be feeding time at the zoo now when they all go in the pits.
33 laps to go. 10th caution of the day. Earnhardt and the others waiting to come in for a pit stop. Dick Berggren is going to call the pit stops by the leaders. Here they come, Dick.
Yeah, Earnhardt's coming down pit road. Cecil Gordon was way out by the wall. Earnhardt's on the top. Ricky Rudd, who's been running second, is on the bottom. Both teams, as you can see, working the right side tires right now. They've got the left side lug nuts loosened up on both. Doesn't seem to be either one with a big advantage, but Earnhardt's guys, David Smith just came around with a jack. They're a little bit ahead. Earnhardt a little bit ahead on this pit stop. Smoke coming off the left front. That's where the brake would let a little smoke come off. Earnhardt's down and away. Boy, he did it again. Earnhardt's guys beat Rudd. Rudd's guys could not have tried any harder. One of them fell down, pushing that car down pit road. Wow.
And the guy that gained the most on that pit stop, Dick Berggren, was Rusty Wallace.
Exactly.
He went
right.
in the pits running, what, about 8th position?
Yep.
Came out running 3rd.
Yep. Rusty Wallace is going to be lined up 3rd for the restart. And then will come Jeff Bodine and Terry Labonte. So Rusty Wallace, because of that, finds himself now at the race where to end back in the Winston Cup points lead. We'll be right back. Here comes the green flag as you rejoin us, and we'd like to remind you that right after our race, we'll be going to Laguna Seca Raceway in Monterey, California, first for the Marlboro Challenge, and then the final IndyCar race of the year, the Champion Spark Plug 300 live from Laguna Seca. Right now, it's Dale Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace running 3rd, but look at the positions that he picked up in the pits. He went in 7th, came out 3rd, but we've got to remind you that Rusty Wallace took on only 2 tires, and most everybody else got 4. And you can see perhaps right now that being evident as here comes Jeff Bodine and Terry Labonte and Bill Elliott.
Yeah, that 2-tire change might have cost him like it did Mark Martin a moment ago, but Rusty's car had been pushing all day, as Mark Martin's had too, and so they chose to gamble that way to try to get the track position, but he just lost 3rd position.
And he's in jeopardy of going down another position as Terry Labonte takes 5th away.
Rusty is in 5th. Ooh, and Bill Elliott gets sideways after getting nudged from behind by Mark Martin.
Yep, they're running awfully close. Too close.
So really that advantage that he got in the pits is almost erased at this moment.
Oh, it looks he lost the back end just a little bit more off that corner. Bill Elliott looks like he's going to have to go by on the outside. He's going to try it.
And you can see the traction he gets.
3 abreast.
Oh, boy. Can this work? Somebody's got to back out.
Oh, and it's going to be Rusty. And here comes Harry Gant. Meanwhile, here's Mark Martin and Bill Elliott going at it side by side as we watch from Harry Gant's car.
And I don't believe that was a good move on the Kodiak team to just put on those 2 tires. Same as Mark Martin a moment ago. That just didn't work for Mark. Hasn't worked for Rusty.
Marcus Shepard has went by Rusty Wallace.
He's now in 9th position. Rusty Wallace is back to 9th, so that was a position behind where he was before the pit stop. And here is Bill Elliott and Mark Martin as they contest the 5th spot. Elliott has 5th at the moment, but there's Mark Martin on the low side.
Harry Gant just sitting there waiting for a place to open up that he can put that Stoll Oldsmobile in.
All four of these cars that are running side by side and nose to tail are battling for position. All are on the lead lap. Elliott, Martin, Gant, and Morgan Shepherd. And there is Shepherd's car from Gant's bumper cam. Back to the leaders. Meanwhile, it is Earnhardt who now is beginning to get some green in his rearview mirror as here comes Ricky Rudd. Remember last year here at this race, Rudd with an outstanding performance.
That was our Pure Laner replay, and it looks almost identical to last year's race.
Let's go down to the pit area and call in Dr. Jerry Punch, who's with the crew chief on the 26 car, Larry McReynolds.
They are cheering their driver in the pits here. The crew, the Quaker State crew, now jumping around as Larry McReynolds watches the laps count off one by one, watching his driver and waiting, hoping maybe for a victory. Last year, the car is so strong here in the short track. Larry, you guys have been working and hustling all day. The car's getting better and better. Do you have enough to possibly challenge Earnhardt?
I don't know. I believe Dale's going to have to slip a little bit. He hadn't slipped all day long, although right now we're a little bit quicker than Dale, but the problem's not going to be getting to him. It's going to be getting by him with 15 laps to go, you know. Dale's like chasing bear with a BB gun right now, though. He knows he's got to stand on it.
Well, Ricky Rudd's got his work cut out for him. McReynolds and the crew, all they can do is stand here and watch.
Well, I can tell you, I like a fellow that tells it like it is, and he said it exactly the way that it is.
But look at this great race going on. Elliott, Mark Martin, and Harry Gant. This is for 5th position. From Harry Gant's cockpit, we watch Mark Martin ahead and Bill Elliott. Now Gant trying to position himself to the inside of Mark into turn 1.
And Mark trying to position himself to the inside of Elliott.
Well, I'll tell you, that is some great racing.
Mark Martin once again on the inside of Bill Elliott, coming off the 4th corner. They're side by side. All Harry can do is just sit back there and watch and hope that one of them passes somebody pretty quick.
And Mark Martin is going to pass Bill Elliott.
Oh, he ain't passed him yet. Watch this.
But he's got the inside groove, but Elliott's hanging on pretty good out there. But no, that got him.
He's got it now. Okay, I take it. He got it.
He surrenders. But Elliott's car has been running high all day and doing a good job.
Now let's drop back and show you the distance between that group of cars and Rusty Wallace. And here, Rusty has got his hands full trying to stay hold on to 9th position. Ernie Irvan is just about to take 9th position away from Rusty. And at the line, Irvan with about a half a car length advantage. This is the battle for 9th position and the final spot on the lead lap. And Ernie Irvan, as they come out of corner number 2 down the backstretch, has a slight advantage. But Rusty is going to battle to the end to hold on.
Boy, I'll bet Barry Dodson and the Kodiak crew would like to make that pit stop over again.
And Rusty Wallace has now fallen back to 10th position as a final car on the lead lap because he only took 2 tires in the most recent pit stops. We're 11 laps from the end of the Holly Farms 400. 6 laps from the end of the race, and we are under caution at North Wilkesboro, and it's a good thing because Dale Earnhardt had slipped a little and Ricky Rudd was just about to catch him. However, the yellow is out because of a spin in turn number 2 involving Bobby Hillen and Ken Schrader.
And Rusty Wallace will dive in the pits and take on 4 tires, and that might be an advantage for him because none of the other cars is going to pit.
Probably not. They can't afford to take a chance.
And Rusty didn't.
Well, no, but the pit might not have been open, Benny. At that time, he might need to go back around the next time before he can come into the pit.
Okay, that's a good point because there they are with the pit board. Harold Elliott, the engine builder, chief engine builder on the car with a pit board.
While we were away for commercial, Dale Earnhardt got out of shape coming out of turn number 4 and slipped a little, and boy, Ricky Rudd pulled right up on his back bumper. And had that caution not come out, we would have had a real battle up front, and we still may have it. And look, Ricky Rudd's crew is out waiting for him, or is that a decoy?
Decoy.
Is it a decoy? Now, we'll see. They're all out there. You know, they want those other crew members to see him and call. They didn't know he was in.
And Rusty isn't either.
Well, Rusty Rusty didn't come in, and that does surprise me, man, that he didn't come in, although they don't have but a few more laps to go. But he had absolutely nothing to lose but a set of tires because he was already running in 10th place. Exactly. And no other car on the lead lap. So that's a little surprising that he would not have come in and took on some tires.
We're going to get the green flag on lap 397. We'll have 3 more racing laps to go. And it appears as if it's going to be a battle among Dale Earnhardt, Ricky Rudd, Jeff Bodine, Terry Labonte, Mark Martin, and who else?
Yeah, who else? I'll tell you, now let's watch Earnhardt on this restart. He has some kind of a transmission in that thing, and because he really gets a jump when he takes off. Look at it.
Here it is. Green flag is out. 3 more laps to go.
But Ricky Rudd was ready for it.
Yeah, he was. He is right with him. Ricky Rudd in the Quaker State Buick. We ride with him. Spin in turn 1. Bobby Hillin against the wall again. We'll see if the yellow comes out.
Yeah, I don't believe he's going to get off of that wall. But let's see. No, they're leading him out.
Yep.
He did get off the wall.
He did get off the wall. No yellow.
2 laps to go.
White flag will come out next time around. Here comes Ricky Rudd moving to the inside of Dale Earnhardt. He's not going to be able to pass him at the moment. Let's see what happens on the final lap of the race. Here comes the field down for the white flag. 1 more to go. Rudd is inside of Dale Earnhardt as they go into turn number 1, and both of them spin.
And Jeff Bodine takes the lead.
Earnhardt spins along with Ricky Rudd. Here comes Jeff Bodine, who'll come down and win the Holly Farms 400. Bodine wins as both Earnhardt and Ricky Rudd spin on the last lap. And Rusty Wallace is going to finish ahead of Dale Earnhardt.
Wow. Short track racing. Well, maybe Rusty Wallace and them knew what they were doing by not coming into the pits. Wow.
The final short track race of 1980s of the decade ends, and boy, it had a tremendous ending. As Ricky Rudd and Dale Earnhardt spun on the last lap, giving Jeff Bodine, who was running in 3rd position, the win. And more importantly, Rusty Wallace, who was running in 10th position, finished ahead of Dale Earnhardt. He finished 7th. Earnhardt finished 10th. And so he maintains the lead. Let's go to Dick Bergman, who's with Childress.
Well, Richard, you had quite a view of that thing. What do you see happen?
They was just racing hard. I couldn't tell. Ricky got into Dale. You know, hell, I don't know. Y'all seen it too.
What were you telling your driver? You were just talking to Dale. What were you telling him, and what was he telling you?
I just told all of them to be cool. You know, we just can't afford no trouble now. We give it our best shot. That's the way it goes.
And they're looking up pit road now. The crews are going up pit road. Everybody's headed up pit road right now. Both the Childress crew is on its way up pit road, and also the Quaker State crew on the way up pit road.
And while all this is happening, Jeff Bodine has pulled into victory lane and wins the Holly Farms 400. We'll be right back. An unbelievable finish to the Holly Farms 400. The guys running 1st and 2nd crash out on the last lap. Ricky Rudd and Dale Earnhardt giving Jeff Bodine his win, and there he is in victory lane. Let's go to Dick Bergman, who's with Ricky Rudd.
Ricky, what happened up there? Well, I don't know. Dale and I got together. His handling went away after that last restart, and I got on the inside of him. And I felt like he came down on me. I don't know. All I know is we got together. You know, I hated that happened. We were going to have a good run for the victory there.
You guys had a conversation after this was all over. What was said?
I think we're discussing the weather. I believe that talking about it was a pretty warm day out there today.
Ricky Rudd with a good run, but it didn't end in victory lane for him here this afternoon. Everybody's caught, and the weather is very nice indeed.
And here's a replay now of the action that occurred when the two came into the pits. That's Chocolate Myers, who is having a discussion with some of the members of the Ricky Rudd team. There's Larry McReynolds holding back one of the other members, and here comes a NASCAR official to say, okay, guys, cool it. The race is over, and there's no sense crying over spilled milk. Jeff Bodine, meanwhile, benefits from all of this and wins the Holly Farms 400. And our winner circle interview being brought to you by the Sears Die-Hard battery, now with more power when you need it much. Here's Jerry Punch.
Jeff Bodine getting a big hug from wife Kathy. Jeff, congratulations on a great win.
Jerry, it was exciting. It's what Winston Cup racing's all about. I remember this race last year. I was sliding sideways in the third and fourth corner and got beat. I was kind of hoping they'd do that. Ricky was running good. He got under Dale, and they just bumped down there. That's just hard racing, good racing. I guess they're discussing it out on pit row. I'd like to see that, but you know, I hate to say that a place has owed me, but this place really has. We've come real close a lot of times, and last year and even this year, finally got it. It feels great. It shows come here, Rick. It shows the character of this team, and even though we're not going to be together, right, buddy? We're still friends, and we're still racing hard, and we're always going to be friends. Always. And, great job. Great job.
Well, your win today, Rick Hendrick, the car owner, your win today clinches a 7th consecutive Manufacturers Championship for Chevrolet. And you did it the hard way from a lap down.
Well, we did. I'm glad for Chevrolet. I won't be with them next year. I'm going to be with Ford, but I'm glad we did this for Chevrolet and finally got a win this year. And it's been a long time, but we're going to miss you, Rick.
Miss you, Jeff. Love you, buddy.
Poignant here in Victory Lane as Jeff Bodine wins the Holly Farms 400. An exciting last 3 laps.
And he broke a 41 race winless streak, his last at Pocono in 1988. And there are the unofficial point standings at the conclusion of this race. Rusty Wallace holds on to the Winston Cup points lead, but it's only by 37 now over Dale Earnhardt. And Mark Martin finds himself 128 behind the leader, Rusty Wallace. Next week at Rockingham, North Carolina, then at Phoenix, and then Atlanta. Our top 20 finishers here this afternoon. The winner, Jeff Bodine, Mark Martin second, Terry Labonte, Harry Gant, and Morgan Shepherd. Finishing 6 through 10, Bill Elliott, Rusty Wallace, Ernie Irvan, Ricky Rudd, and Dale Earnhardt. 11th was Kulwicki, 12th Dick Trickle, 13th Ken Schrader, 14th Dave Marcus, 15th Tommy Ellis, and then finishing in the 16th through 20th positions, we will check into, there they are, Bodine, Spencer, Hillen, and Waltrip. Dick Bergman is with Dale Earnhardt.
Dale, what happened up there?
Well, you seen it on TV.
Well, how do you see it? You obviously were involved.
I gave him the whole bottom lane. He knocked the shit out of him. That's what I did.
Dale Earnhardt obviously upset about this situation. Obviously not. How will this affect your championship view from here on? You got 3 more to go.
What do you think? They ought to find that son of a bitch and make him sit out the rest of the year. I think.
And so on live television, we have candid comments from Dale Earnhardt involved in this incident with Ricky Rudd on the last lap of the Holly Farms 400. Earnhardt was leading the race, got taken out. He finished 10th. Rusty Wallace went on to maintain the Winston Cup points lead, and well, Jeff Bodine, who was running 3rd, came out as the winner of the race.
Well, last year, as he said, he got in a similar situation, and he finished 3rd. This year, he finished 1st.
I'm telling you what, it was an unbelievable finish. But as someone said, Jeff Bodine said, that's what Winston Cup racing is all about. We're always continually having finishes like that. How we do it, I don't know.
And we've got 3 more races to go, and I think you can pretty much bet that it's going to be that kind of finish to the 1989 Winston Cup season. Next week, as we said, in Rockingham, and then in Phoenix and at Atlanta for the final race of the year. Well, my thanks to Dick Berggren and Jerry Punch and Benny Parsons and Ned Jarrett for helping us cover this race here this afternoon. Let's go to Laguna Seca now and Paul Page.